Record in progress.
All right, ready. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the May 12th meeting of the San Benito County Board of Supervisors. We'll start off with the Pledge of Allegiance by Supervisor Tello.
Ready again. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Take up board announcements and committee updates. Do we have any board announcements? I guess we can start with Supervisor Sidla today, if you'd like. Supervisor Zane, Supervisor Velasquez.
I wanted to quickly on Senate. So we finally made contact with Bureau recommendation, and we're going to make some progress on Susan. We've got a lot of work to do. There are other issues in different things, but we are at least making some progress.
Anything else?
That's for me.
Supervisor Kerr.
Real quick, what I wanted the chair for asked me to attend the ad hoc from City Policy had a meeting regarding the animal control animal services shelter. We're going to be meeting on a regular basis, and I'll be reporting back in a quarterly update. So it does seem like they're major issues. Their next meeting, the ad hoc is going to be on June 5th at 4 p.m. At that time, we'll be making regular schedule, and we'll be opening it up to more public members so they can raise any concerns they have. The only other thing I have is I did forward a lot of information to administration came from SAC about the governor's budget, and did also forward some of departments, and hopefully some of that is useful and fortunate, very news. So thanks, Mr. Chair.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I have just data on the latest HOG meeting. Had took a tour of the Highway 25 area with some of the property owners. And then 2 days later, we vote to pit our current action with the route adoption that had done in 2016 in order to pull back and include other options, put those on the table, and more discussion about options wouldn't use as much prime farmland and maybe more affordable and get done quicker. And so that's with that, and so forward to head on that. And other than that, all I have. Is there anything else from any supervisors? Hearing none, we will move on to public comments. This is the opportunity to address the board. Items of interest not appear on the agenda. No act can be taken. We have public comment not on agenda.
I'd like to come in chamber. Please provide speak card. On Zoom, please press star or please 10. On in chamber, have a list.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Board of Supervisors. My name is Tam Avila, and I'm in District 4. And I wanted to thank you, give a shout out to the county and to RA for Shore Road. I recently drove it and was very happy. It was all smooth. So thank you. I'm also here as the Friends of the Library for San Benito County, Friends of San Benito County Free Library. And I just wanted to give you a few updates, please. Our next sale is on Saturday, June 14th from 9 to 11:30. And it's bargain and remember, $5 for bag of books. So Saturday, we held our library expanding committee meeting, which is a group of residents and advocates for the library renovation and expansion project. We shared the latest conceptual drawing, and we also discussed our concern regarding the timeline with the project is supposed to be done by late 2027 because of extension. And I know right now it's a process for the next step, but we're getting a little worried if the project's going to be able to be completed. And also we're worried about rising costs because there's a certain amount of grant money. And then we also then feel the pressure on us to try to raise more money, fill that gap. And then with regard to the temporary space the library will be moving into, we're also concerned about that. If we're waiting on the old courthouse to be completed, that time might not work either, as well as the relocation of the off ed days. So just want to share that. And our next library extension committee meeting will be sometime in August, Saturday in August, let you know. Friends of the Library, our library extension committee, we're committed to working with county and seeing this project at the renovated, expanded library become a reality for our community. Oh, wow, just also wanted to let you know, the San Bautista Library and the County Library are working together on some projects. Thank you.
Wrap up.
Okay, I'm actually the full minute.
Right.
Next in chamber, Leah.
Good morning. A clear public explanation of county short, mid, long-term revenue plan is well for residents of San Benito County being to service cuts and increases. Your constituents deserve to see the whole picture and understand how you, the leaders, the stewards of San Benito County, and to fix it. To last year's budget, you spent developed a one-time payment of $10 million that should have been earmarked to build fire station out down one. Or negative that $10 million for a fire station that will not be paid again by the developer. Supervisors, as Mickey's in Alaska, you have continually voiced since developing along Highway 101. You want business to go to hospital amidst what's needed economically. You are shrinking the main reserves without any clear plan for replenishing services. Draining reserves, non-urgent reasons, defying the law of public confidence, and make it hard to justify tax increases or bond issues in the future. Specific with idiot plan to build fire department from scratch while crying financial crisis. You are mandating San Benito County staff pay cut that approved to hire a fire chief out of fire department. You did not listen to the experts pertaining to fire contract negotiation with Huster. It appears that Mickey Anger and Velasquez is considering hiring a fire chief who aligns with predetermined expectations rather than basing decisions on the preventive evidence, common sense, and logical analysis. You speak where credit rating agencies consider reserve levels when rating the creditworthiness. Deplete reserve will lower the county's credit rating, increase funding costs for future projects for a big fishing signal of poor financial management. County reserves are to provide stability during economic downturns, natural disasters, and public health emergencies. Using reserves to fit road for political purpose is careless financial management, specifically out of plan to replenish reserves. Board of Supervisors, please respect San Benito County staff who are the backbone of our community services. Stewards San Benito County, you owe it to staff plan responsibly, working with employees, not against them, by protecting reserves so we can weather future challenge without sacrificing services. It is essential to keep San Benito County strong and fair, implementing pay cuts and freezing and hiring freeze of San Benito staff that enforce their concern that you cause staff to be overwhelmed and overworked. I challenge you to lead by example, voluntarily take a 20% pay cut, which gives San Benito staff a moral boost. You are with them, not against them.
Next, Chambers, name.
Good morning, staff. Supervisor, I want to thank you for me the opportunity today. My name is Renee Baez, and I'm a representative for the Christian Union. I'm also resident in Hollister in District 4. I just want to speak today, and on any public item is basically standing as a resident who speaks to at the high school, and also speaks to a lot of parents. Those high school students are graduating, wondering what their students are going to do after they graduate. If they're not planning on being a doctor, a lawyer, or an engineer, where are they going to work and how are they going to afford their home, which is rental price here in Australia. So I'm wondering, what are we doing to support those graduates graduating this year, next year? We're doing to support our young adults. We have an opportunity and responsibility to give students viable options. It's disheartening when we go and speak at high schools and give presentations to bring students into trade, but in a city that feels like it's not going to develop or is against economic development, it's hard to bring students to that option and knowing that's not going to happen here. So it means they will have to drive to San Jose, San Francisco for work, meaning students or those kids are only going to get home at 30 the rest of us, right? And not being a citizen in our community. I just want to know what we're doing to support that and drive economic development, good paying jobs. Right now, it's their own option to work minimum wage at Boot Barn, Dutch Bros, or Amazon. They will not afford to buy one of the homes or even rent here. They'll be living with their parents until they're 40 years old or until their parents pass away and them what they have. I wonder what we're doing to support that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next on Zoom, Timothy, you've been under in 3 minutes.
Good morning, Supervisor. Thank you guys. Yeah. My name's Timothy. I'm a resident of Ulster. I live in Detroit County. I also serve District Low Income Presentation Action Board. I also serve on the Community Council Government Committee. I co-chair the Monitoring and Evaluation Committee, and I chair the Advisory Directive. Also on the Policy Advisory Committee of the Corporation for Building. I'm here to speak on three interconnected issues today. Some river sweep, the silver housing element, and the path forward utilization of big safe sites. Regarding the sweep, I understand concern related to safety environment impacts. People are possibly displaced with legal or a place to go, not redoing anything. We're taking more class, ability, trauma. These are residents, human beings, and being around problems than like people. The shelter of violence for many. It's often full, and many people pets, too often partners, mental health needs, and if it does, it exists for 10 days a day this summer, which means they're still left out in the heat. There's no other place for them to really feel cancer. In addition, county has already lost over 2 million grant opportunities due to delayed non-compliance with their health. It's a significant unnecessary cost. One can't afford for about addressing homeless. So today, I'm in the third agenda is a item where I turn a viable and realistic option, and one more cost-effective, more humane. That quo barrier doesn't face where can lead rest with access to station, outreach services that have permanent housing. Other counties implemented this approach with says we can learn them, adapt locally, and begin to shift away into the cycle of enforcement and displacement. I'm not asking perfection, that's for a starting point, really passion, adaptive experience. I will be here to come back with a detailed plan that truly begins to move forward. Thank you for your time, willing to consider solutions that affect the day of every resident in San Benito County. Thanks.
Thank you. That concludes the call.
Thank you much. That would take us to the consent agenda. Interim CEO Raymond, an announcement on consent.
Yes, Chair. Item 1.1 needs to be pulled off the agenda and be back at a later date. There's more information that needs to be included in the item.
Thank you for that. And do supervisors, I'd like to poll for consent. Supervisor Sella?
I'd like to pull 118, please. And then do we have any here from Health Foundation for that information? No, if no one here, then I'll pull that, but 18 for sure, please.
Okay, thank you very much. Supervisors here.
Yeah, I'd like to put 1.6, please.
1.6, Supervisor Velasquez.
Yeah, I'd like to pull 1.19.
none. Supervisor Curl?
To clarify, public comment when we're polling going to be open again, or when you go to public comment? So I just make sure that it's being polled, you need to your public comment. Okay, just wanted to make everybody aware. Because we do have the Senior Council and Affordable Housing Developers here, I am respectfully asking to pull 1.11 to proclamation or presentation. If it could be done during the 3.1 item, that'd be great. And I'm also pulling 1.19. I'm pulling, sorry, is a procurement. So 1.18. You did. Oh, great. Thank you.
So just All American Month and Affordable Housing Month and WONE, so then would be with
3.1.
3. Okay, can move to 3.1 as long as our guests are okay with that. That would take us to public comment. Are there any public comments on the consent agenda?
Clay, was this yours? You put your name on it for City Council? Senior Council Cruz? Oh, you put your name on it. Okay, so this is for, what, Anna? Oh, well, wait, I have any comment consent. Oh, does she have to get now? If she's doing it for 1 minute?
Yes, go ahead and do it.
Go ahead, come up.
Good evening again. My name is Naomi Aviles, and I'm a board member of the Seniors Council of Santa Cruz and Benito County. I requested this to pull under to accept the proclamation, and I want to share about what we're doing. So I'm not sure if I read and speak during the proclamation.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. And I'm also going to be 1.15. I didn't mention that. So we have from the end, we have 1.1 removed, 1.6 pull, 1.11, 0.15, 1.8, and 1.19. There, motion to approve the other items, except those items are pulled.
So moved.
We have a first, we have a second.
I'll second.
For a second, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. This is unanimously. That would take us to 1.6. Supervisor, are you 1.6?
You put 1.5?
Yeah. Oh, we do 1.5 as well. Did we?
Did you do 1.15 or 1.5?
1.5.
1.5. I think you missed 1 point. That's
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, 1.1. Thank you for that. So points.
yes, 1.6. Yeah.
Hi, morning.
Morning. So I remember this originally when it came to us last year, and I wasn't a huge fan of it then. So basically, my opinion is the same. That is it necessary to have the private security guard there, all the time whenever he's there. I want. What if we had cameras? I think I save a lot of money and work as well. And so kind of where I'm at with that, where I would. So I'd like to change. Yeah.
Sure, and really appreciate the consideration last year when I spoke about what we feel at the Behavioral Department is necessity to keep the safety of our clients and our staff. The hard thing about security cameras is that it's really difficult to monitor those all the time. We have spoken to security experts who have shared that it's not that they're a bad thing, though. You still want somebody to be watching them all the time, so I wouldn't have to pull one of my staff online to monitoring cameras. And then if we do need an individual to respond to an emergency, then we don't have anybody on site. Unfortunately, we're having very tragic incidents to behavioral health departments and other public entities, and it helps our staff and clients to have a sense of security when there's someone on site. We have utilized the security to help us do some incident. My staff are highly trained in the verbal de-escalation, and we have additional counterpart with us to have a bit of a show of force that can sell what's going on, and it's also really hard to predict when a crisis is going to occur. And though I completely understand concern about spending funds at the end of something that we're sure if when it happened, it does give me and my staff and our clients, and I hope the community people visit us and are attending our clinic, that it provides security, even if it's felt so that because it's happening, if something does that we have access to, and we utilize the security guard to help us in the past year.
Got it. Yeah, I was expecting someone like in a room watch the cameras all the time.
Yeah.
It would more of an after the fact, the footage for.
Right.
I guess concern is
In the
an
moment.
incident in the moment happening. Okay, and so this is for level 1 security, right? Correct. Did we go get quotes on this from others or?
Oh, not for renewal. Excuse me. We did at the time of contract. One bid had I remember, I suppose I don't have it in front of me. We had two other bids. One was actually lower, and the other one had a range of lower and higher. And we ended up doing for level 1 security because they had additional factors, including more intensive training. The county already had an established relationship with level 1, and we thought there was some credence for, because of that history. It was also due to the fact that they seem to provide more training. Well, do provide training for staff. We analyzed on that end.
Was it I don't recall the difference in cost?
I had dollar amounts I had seen it for. It was $20 an hour for special forces per security. Other ones are $40 more for level 1, which showed the other odd was the range $35.50 for metal protect service.
Thank you, Chair.
Got it. 26 an hour over 45 an hour. You felt like whatever training they did with level 1 made up the cost there as the additional training?
We did. This is something that we can't go back and further analysis on. So, in reading the proposal, it seemed that would get not an author, but an security guard higher level of training, and it would seem to make a difference. It's because having both site.
Yeah, right. Okay. I think that the questions I had about it. I don't know if there was anything else for.
I did. I can feedback as well. So just to make clear, the funding source that is for this can be stored behavioral health services. My understanding was those are broader sources.
So we utilize our administrative funds. So those funds won't go towards actual therapeutic services. It's funding that comes to behavioral health departments to pay for some of our overhead. So we can use administrative funds for things like this. It would not be, we're not utilizing funds that are taken away from our clinical services.
Right. It could be overhead, employees could do contracts as well. I believe it can. I mean, they're pretty broad funding sources. And some come to me, like we recently pulled the jail for psychiatric. You have to go on that now, to the general fund. I see your errors. I have concerns about, well, first of all, I have concerns about choosing the security firm that's not the lowest bid. I can't support that. It's basically 40% lower cost for a security firm that had the lowest bid. To me, that's a deal on that part of it. But if we are going to consider using funds that's this level, we'd now just be prioritized other overhead. We're in a budget situation here. It's very potentially serious. I know these are state monies, it's still tax dollar, and also does impact, we are using general dollar and all different departments that actually come back. The event comes back to general. So I agree that, first of all, we are to do this. I think it's our responsibility to do the list quote, which is $26 an hour. And I think beyond that, it gets worth a discussion about there are $154, I think it was dollars. That is a lot of money to have somebody standing around behavioral health, waiting for something to potentially happen. I agree that security cameras and signs would act as some level of deterrent. Also, it would be wise to have analysis of if we can use, if there is a bill to something of this nature, look at what, again, go back to the ball of looking at what is this standard. I'd like to know what other countries do if going out and spending this little money security for behavioral health. Don't just want a general answer. I'd like to have an actual county list.
I do know other cities are. So
yeah, I'd like to have a list so yes, no, which county. I'm sure there's some there. And beyond that, let's see. I think we're going to do it. It's going to be the lower cost, but it's worth discussion of whether $50,000 should be on other priorities. So we'll ask you anything.
145,000. I have an issue with too, especially no, it's not those bid. It's been 45,000 for unsecure or unarmed. Serious really doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I would to see their bids bring them back.
okay.
I can't. I'm running. Working 4 hour a week. Is that?
We have extended hours because we provide e-services. So there are some days a week that we are have 9 staff in the evening hours.
How late in the evening?
Around 7:30. Sorry, 7.
Yeah. And you know, some of those times security is there. Is it? You have security there from 8 in the morning. Was your?
Some of we adjust during the winter hours when it's, and we have some amount of schedule. So every day a little different. So we have security there when we're present and coming, clients are coming to the clinic, and then we have extended hours evening. I don't have the schedule right in front of you, but I will provide that.
I think we should look into different here.
Sure, and I just want to say that there have been tragic incidents in other behavioral health departments, and I know that an armed security guard can't prove everything. Have analyzed them this past year. I will bring that back to the board along with an analysis from their counties so that you see how their behavioral health departments are providing security. And related to the administrative funding that isn't fund that could be utilized to cover the psychiatrist that was at the county jail. So I know that come up often with looking at the behavioral health department. We pulled service away from jail. So it would very happy having a conversation about that, because I think there's nuances that would be helpful to have a mutual understanding about that, because I don't want to be seen as behavioral health is pulled away something that now have a negative impact on the county general fund.
Supervisor.
Another question.
Go ahead. Whoever wants first.
Yes, really. I didn't even talk this before. It says the unarmed security guard. So is that intentional choice to unarmed versus armed, or is that?
It was.
Okay.
It was. It's really balanced between having security on site that can help if incident happening. However, when you have armed security guards, it can feel really uncomfortable and be a deterrent. So it really is a difficult balance we're trying to have to ensure this security, our staff, and our community, and the folks, and to see it, but not being what's the word I'm looking for? A deterrent, so that people walk in armed guard, people have a little bit of a reaction to that. So it's a balance that we walk.
Tatella?
Thank you. I just want to say that over the security has always been very professional, very friendly. I'm a little bit concerned, $26 an hour to $45 an hour. Are we carrying apples? Because it does appear so. It seems like one has a level of training and the education along with it. And so I think we have to be careful when comparing. Sometimes going with low bid, not always the best option. So I think we should keep that in mind, that we're looking for kind of that quality. I think there's a vulnerable population. I think we need to be very careful. I think we need a balance. And I think, so often frustrates me here is that we tend to not be proactive, tend to be reactive. And I'd hate to be sitting in this seat and have something really tragic happen. And oh, shoot, what did it occur? That's not going to help us in that moment. And so I think that we need to weigh those options. And so I am in favor of us having the security, providing that level of security for staff, provide that peace of mind for staff and for the clients. And I think that it's a small price to pay for what potentially good, and we typically don't go with things until really tragic happens, and I'd hate for that to happen. And so I am in favor of moving forward this now. I understand that probably won't happen, but I just say when you bring back information, make sure that you're very clear about what the difference is between $26 an hour and $35 an hour to make that decision that truly comparing apples to apples. So thank you.
Thank you. And I just wanted to add, I think it would be helpful if you're going to say training later on it to show if there are certifications or anything that actually qualify that. You need to qualify these things. The same goes with the analyze other county. I think we did a list all. We're going to do it. Just don't pick 3. You have security. You could do all of the counties around us to yes or no that they have. And there's a dollar that would help as well. Sure. Thank you very much. I'm hearing. Oh, Sir Curl.
You triggered thing. We're going to have to bring this back. We really to understand the level of threats that have happened, because just what I witnessed in our county at the site in moment of the lowest moment for some individuals. The safety of the community, other individuals that are at your facility and your employees are because if people come feeling fearful that they may get hurt, I think you should really look also at bringing back some of the examples, the incidents that have occurred. I did them, some of them very, and I don't want to take a chance that happened in our county, but at the same time, I'm going to have to agree. We need to be frugal. We need to make sure that we're doing RFP. We need to make sure that we're doing apple to apple, as supervisors tell us, so that clearly understand what we're getting, but all understanding that we're threatening other departments that don't have the luxury of state and federal funds. So those are my only comments to get a little bit where I'm coming from. Thank you.
Suzanne?
Yes, sorry, real quickly. It sounds like this is coming back, but I do have a little help on if we're talking about we want this for an emergency, something bad could happen, then I'm confused with on our aspect, because I feel like on a defeat purpose, we're saying, planning to most worst case scenario, but then if that happened, we actually wouldn't have them armed. It's a little confusing to me. That's rationalizing it. It's a very bad situation. Then if that would happen, well, then there may not be probably. So that's a hang up I have with that.
Sure, I can provide our rationales to.
Now, one more thing, I tend to agree with if you're going armed. To me, I like this justification that security cameras and signs aren't just much of a deterrent, because if the person's armed, I just don't see somebody to do something then. They know they give a person's arm, as a secure camera in there, that's capture from it's there to capture what we're doing. I think that to me, I'd like to justify why that would not be just as or better deterrent than unarmed security guard. I would like to see an RP if this does come back. I think that the responsible thing to do is to for RP and the lowest, the actual normal bid. There's anything else separate for Curl?
I feel with the RFP process is essential, but this was 1 year contract, so that doing an RFP a year is a waste of half time. But you have 30 suites to end of this. So I would be looking at a short-term extension during RFE, but also looking at concealed carry. I don't agree that we should advertise that they're unarmed. I think that you should when you look at these other counties, if they are armed, just not know, because concealed carry will take away that issue with the open carry that does shock people, and it puts them guard, but still allow that level of security we may be needing. I will with your recommendation. So thank you.
Sure. This conversation is, and we will consider everything has been shared today and the question that has been asked. And we have had an incident where our security has really helped use and folks in the clinic. And folks come to us, as you share often, going through a lot. We probably, mental health, substance use disorder service for those that are having the most severe, acute, chronic situation. And so, we're doing outreach folks that are, coming out of the riverbeds, and many of you out there, and that folks are dealing a lot of trauma, and substance use, just other things can make situations very unpredictable, volatile in a second. And when we have somebody that can show force and exit folks out, which has happened, that has been extremely helpful to help the other folks that are in the lobby, be protected from that. So I do appreciate their consideration. I'm just not sure what we do in the meantime for our clinic. So I guess because I don't have time to do RFP for the begin the fiscal year at another potential contract from the board. So we have gap in support. So yes, is that
Supervisor Sotelo?
I'm just wondering, is there a way that we could do, not for a whole year, but maybe, what extension, so 3 months or something like that, till it has time, then go do an RFP, bring everything back? Or
I think for me, I would suggest if there's a will to, I don't know where the majority is going to stand on this, but if there's a will to bring back a short-term option while, for whether we would go with an RFP or not, I think for any more analysis on this, you really think, to have us come back considerations at this meeting, if you negotiate, if the majority will initiate a short-term arrangement while we were on the RFP. I will say, going forward, if we as a county can bring the contracts to the board earlier than this, because it puts us buying an unnecessary buy. I think we should have like a 90-day rule or something. So it gives us time to want an RFP, go out to RFP, whereas never be told this is going to end because we.
So I was looking at the calendar in front of me for gender review schedule and deadline. So the 16th was the deadline for council to view for the 10th meeting. So that's
Around stuff.
okay, because May 3rd would be
It's a
for.
continuation of, it's a continued item, so we.
I just want to be clear about that. I think sometimes it's frustrating for having some of the items back to us because there is, the deadline. I think everybody's looking like, oh my gosh, this ends, July 1, and the soonest it probably can come back to us would June 24th. I just want to be, if that's acceptable, then I think we need to let Dana know that and let staff know so that the item would be extensions could be back to us prior to July.
CA or council? Any problem, have something sooner than the,
Oh, and I'd work with behavioral health if they help with things too.
is consent,
Okay.
one line or?
Oh, I'm just a little confused, I apologize.
So we're
Okay.
bringing it back before the deadline, to, there's a continue short-term arrange to see if there will put an RFP on the table for a longer term.
Okay, would you like me to bring information that's been rested to help that or this or?
Yeah, I would
okay.
think so.
Okay.
Question,
Celeste?
yeah. What is protocol when an incident happens? What is the step to take?
So that could depend on what is happening. We have a system in place to alert folks in clinic if an incident is happening. We have procedures to kind of lock down, if you will, certain parts of our clinic, and then we would try and isolate incident and what's happening and protect folks, and then have the security guard along with what would appropriate staff to be involved in the situation. So we isolate what's going on, do the situation, exit the person from the clinic, in our clinic, and try and make arrangements to kind of from there. So as an affect themselves or others, then we would take further action. But if somebody is endangered health for others because of their mental health condition, we initiate 50-50 and then use what appropriate mode of transportation, either ambulance or enforce to that individual transported to the hospital.
Okay. So, I'm asking the question because we had the conversation about a tragedy can happen here. And an unarmed security is going to stop a tragedy from happening. It's going to go in the direction. So I'm more when 911 calls. When is
911 is
because
called, sorry.
I'm making it that minute can make a difference. The hesitation of we can try to de-escalate or hit 911 now because there's a point when this happens that you make the wrong judge call and we have tragedy. Again, we have 5 security officers unarmed that can stop tragedy. So I want to be very clear about that. What are protocols? Because it seemed to me that call should be earlier and hopefully time an officer get there. It's already being escalated. I understand you don't want officers running in, maybe get a little heated, but the time there is so critical. So I guess asking, I'd like to see that in writing. What steps you're taking?
And I apologize. There have been that gene of what's happening, and also share our protocol with you.
Thank you. And are we getting, I assume armed may be different, maybe it's same thing?
To be honest with you, I'm not sure, but I can so
We
include
should have discussion, because I'm not sure I support an armed.
Taser. Taser, is that
Sort of
something
options. I'd rather go with security cameras than an armed security guard myself. Just
I was curious, so maybe would it possible to bring Taylor into this conversation, get law enforcement's, assess or their opinion of how unarmed versus armed, having security not, maybe the need, the calls they're seeing. Just wondering if maybe just that perspective might be helpful and useful in this conversation.
Yeah, and I'm not, admittedly not an expert in the area, and so yes, additional input and guidance from folks that with situations on a day basis would be welcomed.
Thank you very much. Sounds good. Are we on the same page? And with an RFP, we want to have option armed at least consideration when it comes back. We want to go for an RFP. Won't be making a decision on we're picking.
I have the option of an armed taser, an armed.
Sure.
All right, there's consistency. Come back. AP, Dana, for
Okay,
answering this
thank
question.
you.
Read it. We'll move on to 1.11 is going to, along with the item, move on to 1.15. I did pull this. This came up relatively late in the process here as far as gender reviews. And to just, somebody can answer simple question of what happened here, essentially.
Let me give you a little bit of, just really, before we get to that. I believe the agenda should have said approved up to 1.8, and did not include that 2 were in there, so it's probably going to be less, but I did not put in there. I apologize for that. But I believe former Budget Officer Ron Abon is here, so he could probably give you a little bit of insight on this piece.
Good evening, everyone. So in this case, the budget is for non-general fund division, and that's risk management division. We use Fund 306 for risk management, and it's a separate fund. And I missed one line item for the general liability insurance. I may have a lot on my plate at the point in time. And so typically what happens for these funds, we do copy prior to school year budget, have some budget available for the fiscal year. In this case, when I'm looking at the that I had an amount budgeted in every item except the general liability insurance. So, and the truth is, I must have stopped working on this one division, working on something else, and I never got to make sure I included an estimate. And I get one more thing I can share about this one division is, even if I had plugged in an estimate from a fiscal year, say about 1.2 million to cover the one line item, we would still be here to be requesting an amendment to budget increase appropriations because insurance costs have fiscal year. I mean, I have the figures in front of it. They increase in little items significantly compared to the fiscal year.
The courthouse fire, did play a role in any of this?
No, the old courthouse fire was tracked in the general fund. Even though we'd receive insurance money, it was tracked in a separate division. It was not the one we're looking today. It was Fund 306.
Can you explain for transparency, these are $11, the difference between 1.8 and the $411,000 amount that are there? So doing a budget transfer of 411 and the 1.8, can you explain that?
The 1 increase was based on actual costs. I noticed in the budget performance reports, we print report to gauge what our budget is in the current school year and to see what actual transactions are posted or unposted to certain divisions. In this case, the division we're looking at. Let me have a balance. So the 1.8 will help the general liability insurance, where actual costs are 1.4 million. The additional separate line item, which is charges property. So county property insurance is insurance for county property. And some of the costs for general liability insurance, other insurance-related items are recovered through the cost plan. Historically, it's what happens in fund. And to answer the question about the $411,000, so that will be transferred from the workers' compensation insurance item. The way the county has been doing the budget for workers' compensation is we budget a reallocation. We anticipate reallocating costs to all departments from worker compensation item in their budget use into this through. So effectively what we do is we allocate costs for worker compensation to all departments, all fund, and it goes into this fund. And so that 411, what I'm doing is I'm creating the anticipated allocation for that line item in this fund. The end result is that we're increased. So the budget for that line item is approximately funding we're being in other departments is an additional 411. So and the budget for the fiscal year was a copy of fiscal year 2024, including the workers' compensation line item, which was estimated 1.4 million, but actuals are closer to 0.9 million. So we ended up receiving more from allocating costs to other departments. And so this is the $411,000 figure. So that's kind of what's happening is showing the public board that that transfer, all doing is increasing the amount of funding that we're going into this fund to help offset costs for workers' compensation.
And it's up to 0.10.
The 1.8 million is up to, yes. So we may not need the full 1.8 million to meet the county's obligation for liability insurance and other insurance items. It may come in a little lower, but when it does come in a bit lower, all it means is this fund for risk management, it stays in touch. It's actually part of the county's assigned fund balance, which means it's set aside specifically for general liability insurance.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Any other questions, comments?
You asked a question, really, Chair. Was any of this a result of the fire of the building? Is it cost increase some rates? I'm sure.
That's a very good question. I would defer to risk manager, CEO Henry.
So I'd say entirely there may be sort of an increase for Benito as our annual, but this is kind of tried with all the 12 counties in Trinidad. The rates are significantly up because we're in a big bowl. We've had some very significant claims that we've going to have to end with the departments or county. So it's just been a pretty enormous increase since last year. So it's not, there's some with there, but it's not that.
Gotcha.
I just want to add to, looking at the historical, we've charged premium for insurance for last year, increasing, I think, 3 to 4%. So there is a significant increase this year.
Thank you. Any questions, comments? Entertain a motion to approve. First, second.
Second.
First, second row. All those in favor, please say
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Motion passes. I would take us to 1.18. This is a review purchasing policy allowed by January 2025. And I believe Supervisor Curl.
Actually, we voted to let Supervisor to go.
I can
I
say
figured we just thought at first you might have.
Well, I just pulled the item because in reviewing, I didn't know, okay, we pass it and sent, but the staff recommendation is to consider option 1 or option 2. And I would ask to, which option are we approving with this item? Does the board want option 1 or option 2? And so it just wasn't clear to me. I didn't know how it could be on consent if there are 2 different options printed. So I just wanted to split and maybe if you can
Yes.
kind of figure out
We're
what
going to
option.
clarify before board can consent, but this recommendation is op 1.
Okay, staff options, option.
Allow the CAO data authority.
Okay, all right. Thank you for clarifying that. Supervisor Curl, do you want
You got my chin, thank you.
Okay, that was all that, was my only question on them. Thank you.
And food drink, talking about vending or.
Yes, interview panels, working several different instances, such as workshop, county training, interview panels, certain award ceremonies if they're organized by the HR.
Okay, great. Yeah, Supervisor, tell.
Sorry, I'm just curious. So in the instance, I saw option 2 was anything lower than 500 didn't need this. This instance, is there any threshold or anything over the amount would have to get CA's approval?
Any amount currently, and that coming up large administrative burden, have to, small, all food purchases currently go to CAO for approval of these certain categories. So right now, it's drafted so that CAO could delegate authority. Traditionally, it's been somebody in the CAO's office. If the CAO one delegate authority to a department head to a certain amount, that's where we're sitting. This option 1, and if there wasn't comfortable with that, then would be changing the policy to occasionally purchase of certain amount need to be approved by the CAO's office, converts that administrative burden.
So option 1, CAO has the ability to go ahead and potentially give somebody the authority for approval. All can provide specific, the CAO can say, okay, I think a 250 department, you just hadn't take care of it, or $1,000, whatever it is. Yes. It's showing the CAO flexibility in this item versus on option 2, anything under 500 can do anything over 500 would be, we'll have to go to the CAO specifically.
Right,
those are the differences.
and that, yes.
Okay.
Two, under option board was, one of the option 1, but option 1 would be, doesn't even need to be rewritten because it does say in policy it's CAO designee, so there are no actual did to changes, but just make sure that reflected board's intent. It was brought back because there was some question of whether that was, the language of the policy is how it's interpreted. So, trying to have the board confirm that designation is appropriate.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Thank you so much for that, Ricky.
Yeah, I'm going to be leaning more towards on too. I think one of the we're finding in the budget is tremendous amount of money being spent on food, tremendous amount of money, and we had to rein in because it has got to control. I don't know exactly what's going on as we're still going through some of these numbers, but I would rather than have department heads make the decision to get $5, or I'd rather have you make that decision.
I will say that what I'm seeing is I am signing a bill of things for like $60. There's a lot, so that's why we're trying to give a threshold. We can make the threshold lower, but there's a lot of workshops, a lot of groups meeting together that they provide reference to. So it's become quite challenging to keep up the sign of that. But it's whatever you threshold on a set, options on a set, we're trying to get more clarification.
So you're essentially saying the $500 is a threshold.
We could 250, whatever whatever sees it's fit. Is that there? I think is when the policy is brought back. I think at the time didn't know the gravity what it means. Soft. There's quite a, and so that's kind of what we're trying to get clarification. Auditors has not agree with the designee because it just CA designee. They took us in office designee. I look at it with keep operations going, allowing departments to a certain amount. So, but again, set pleasure of you want policy.
And for clarity, so the because these are they have to certain level of justification through auditing to show these meals, drinks, food.
What it's for, receipts. Yes.
Okay. Be inclined to lower it to get it in half to 250 personally. I think we're looking at getting our meal budget. I'm going to be around 50%. Our PAC discussions, control train, lodging, meals, 50% cut. So I would say that line with that kind of authorization from 100 to 250 would make sense to me. That's what I propose.
Rob, sir?
Would be the department heads giving them as designee?
Yeah, still additional layer of justification they need to go to, yeah. And there's going to be a lot of room for spend on stuff anyway, so.
Okay, so but the board motion should be to the motion the board feel appropriate and also delegate authority staff to make changes.
Supervisor has some, I do want to go sort that.
I'm really confused. I'm just going to be totally brutally honest because I read this and what are we trying to solve? What's the problem? Is the problem we're spending too much, or is the problem we're not granting the authority to the people and auditors? This is not reimbursing. Understand the problem.
I think several things. One is there was a difference in interpretation of the policy, CA or designee. Auditors also took as designee within the and also only. It does say that says CO designee. The other issue is the amount of food that has been purchased for, and not big amounts, but there's a lot. I mean, I'm spending $60 for rice apples and some beverages. It's been taxing. So, and I talked a couple department head, and because of just getting processed, I reviewed it well. Is if there was an amount that I could say, the designee, as long as it doesn't see that it does, then needs to come back to this off for review and sign off that way is appropriate. But we're trying to satisfy several things.
Got it. Okay, so I have my 2 comments. One, I totally agree, reduce the amount of number of times you have to sign for it, but I really think the budget process, allocation to food needs to be more understood so that we grasp what we're talking about. So I think it's a 2-part approach. Just reducing the number, it doesn't stop it. So I feel that we should streamline the process because that's the more efficient, staff more efficient, the process more efficient, which is my ultimate goal. We need to start looking at how much is being spent, what is being spent on. So I would recommend that be kind of dissected in the bid process and then come back and modify uses of meals and reimbursements of the kind of things. There's purpose for them, and now with the budget situation that we're in, I highly support that we have to look at where all the money's going. There are things you just can't afford more right now, so.
It's some food, but maybe for when people travel, not for in-house.
That's, I think, what needs to be understood is that you're at a conference and is it just blanket, you're getting your meals reimbursed, or are you showing receipts, or are you being reimbursed for meals that you had paid for without receipt? I mean, someone travels a lot of parts to this. I agree that needs to be streamlined more. We spend way too much time on this, way too much time. So I'm not sure how to put that in motion.
Well, I was wondering, it sounds like we like idea option 2 with the restricted amount, but it's like option 1 lens streamlining. So I'm wondering, could we kind of do option 1, but then maybe put in there like extra kind of safeguard that has out? Because it sounds like what CAO is saying is that a lot of these $6 and things of that, so put this $250, that doesn't stop any of those, and it still makes it kind of a cumbersome process. So go option 1, maybe put in some language in there that you, that maybe that's comfortable with this, expenditure kind of amount. I don't know if maybe that might help in the meantime.
Well, just real quick, I think we need to look at clarification because Supervisor Velazquez and I were going through this with the 9-2 home and discovered this meal issue, food issue, and we have a food category and we have a meals category as well. So I'd like to take a closer look, and I can tell you, I can tell you, the food category is $650, $1,000, $500, and meal category is $145,000 fund. So we're recommending cutting it in half to go with the recommendation to cut. Much as we all appreciate training and we're in a challenging situation to cut travel, train, lodging to go with meals and food by 50% across the board. But I would agree with him, but they're restricting what the allowable uses are for the category, so they're less discretion eventually.
Sure.
Right,
and so in terms of the item specifically, I think what would make sense, say want to hold the designee apply departments, not just staff admin office, right? So I think I would get behind that, but I would include the 250, more than 50, designate it has to be the AO, right? So that solve the issue for you, Julie?
I could help some of, yes. Like there was a lot of lower dollar amounts that I was signed a lot of C4. So, and kind of bottling the process, get it paid through the auditor's office. So if the board is, when we kind of verify it again and bring back with more clarification, I think it satisfies all parts that we have concerns with.
I think that's a compromise for now, and we do need to be looking at, because the problem I have is that if saying under $250, I'm sorry, has no, these department heads do not take the wrong way. I'm looking at this from some events that have happened previously in the last few years that we need to be a little tighter on what we're actually spending the money on, and you doing a repeat of under 250, under 250, under 250. I've seen contract, was the dollar amount, $50,000 for under $50,000 the CAO to approve, and they were $49,999, $49,999. Can't have that kind of use. And so I think looking at the actual usage and what has it been for, will open the budget process, but I think the Supervisor has a good compromise now.
You have a motion?
Make a motion. So I would motion to confirm the AO's authority to delegate her designates include department heads the ability to authorize purchases under $250, requiring CO approval if greater than that. Does that work?
I would set that.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Unanimously. That would get us to item 1.19, which is approve subsidy increase, 180,000 ambulance rate increase. Supervisor Vasquez?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, I may aware of something.
Yes.
It's just brought to my attention that item 3.1, we have state representatives that are have a hard stop at 11:30 for the 3 item, and we have two public hearings. Not and you're close, so maybe we could call you. I'm trying to move along, so we lose them. We may have to move them in front. 3.1, so we don't lose the end of their presentation.
Yeah. So I'd be willing to entertain moving after. I think
Do you want Chris?
And then if we want to entertain moving their item up to ahead of the hearing. What you're saying?
It could be that, could be out of the here just so they get their attention and can see that would be absolutely fantastic.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll do. Chris?
Good morning.
Yeah, thank you for coming up. I had a question. I'm curious on how an increase of 53% on this.
Sure. Well, I provided financials to EGO that broke down their analysis, and then look different analysis that breaks down their profit and loss. And based on the number of transports and the pay mix from government pay, they realized profit of 1% in 2024, and it's based out of 224 transports per month with 71% government pay mix, which is very, very high.
So going to the number, and I say food studies, you have 220 transports mean to hospital or calls.
To hospital transport, not the calls.
Okay.
Right. Not every call results in a transport.
And you're saying 70% of those,
71%.
like 3,000 per.
Correct.
So of the one are collected, how much are they collected? Do we have a total number on it? At 30%, 29%,
This is, I can give you, it's about 20%.
That's definitely with AMR.
21%.
21% of
Of the
private,
transport.
of commercial pay.
And how much are you collecting on that per year?
Well, in general, per trip, our average collection per trip is about between $700 and $800 per trip.
Your billing, I thought it said 300.
That's true, but our collection rate is about 21% of that, which is actually at a high for San Benito County rate.
Okay, so again, it's having time just the 3%. I know you include numbers here, and a hard time with the profit on percent. So those were my questions.
Anyone else questions? There's a curve.
My questions were a little different. Knowing how much is costing and currently our fire department discussions, is there room that could start having a conversation with AMR or AMR and others about a collaboration between those services instead of maybe, what we can help benefit each other?
Well, they're currently just transport, they're blessed,
Right.
basic life support.
Right.
AMR advanced life support, do transport. If fire is entertaining the option of transporting, to be criteria with that, such as Rife, for example, has one its rater before they are contracted to transport.
What's the conversation I wanted to have the ad hoc level? My recommendation on just this item, not the cost side, but open the door to conversation with ad hoc about those variables, how we may be able to work together. Because so many of our calls are medical in nature. So if we could be more efficient and we could guide these from MR and our consultant that we're working on with fire, I really
Sure, I
appreciate.
think that is definitely a separate issue in the rate increase. Rate increase would be regardless of the relationship fire, but I think it's definitely some conversation we have.
But have this conversation, these rates could come down. Collaboration is kind of my goal.
Something can definitely.
Of course, there documentation to show the 1% profit that was kind of the trigger.
So you should receive that email last week from Vista.
What?
An email last week from Vista with finance that were sent confidentially.
I did not see
I believe it was Tuesday or Wednesday.
that. Okay. We include sort of, it's confidential?
Yes, because they're published.
Let me share that's why I wanted to get to ad hoc so that we could
But
start
did
that
read
debate
some
there.
information was included with agenda item.
Okay, I did not, I don't see that item.
Yeah, I don't, yeah.
And I think your questions are actually great. And, just a little bit further verification, because I think that you have great points that, looking at the average volume of the 224 transport that are mobile, just doing the quick math, so 159 of those would be only eligible for the government payers. And out of those, when you get commercial insurance, only 19 of those would actually be commercially insured, meaning that would be the only opportunity to actually collect the full rate. Typically, our what we bill and will collect is considerably lower than the actual base rate and much in those things. Hope that puts a little bit already.
I didn't see much more in the numbers. 43% increase makes you want to see the numbers, and I've not seen them. Maybe we all said email. I need to see the numbers. 1%, a lot of reasons to get 1% off it. So I need to see all the numbers.
I agree, I can't approve that though in the numbers, so I'll have to, for me to continue it, I would to have that discussion as far as you mentioned, how Mark comes to the table, if they're willing to try to bring creative ideas to the table, because I think from what I'm hearing and what I provide input on for, took self off that ad hoc, was that we need to really sort of get the entire structure of medical response and see whether there are smarter ways of doing it. And I'd be really appreciative if MR can get creative with us and have some.
I think we need to bring them to the table.
Balls are fires.
Right,
the
across
vast
the United
majority,
States.
so.
Not usual.
Is there anything, as far as the said numbers, I said numbers, is there any other thoughts? I would enter the motion continue so we can get circuited and at least look at this dollar amount.
Is that was a motion?
Yeah, I would enter.
I'll say that.
I'll make the motion second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. I believe it takes to the end, poll items, and we did approve all the rest of the items, I believe. But this is the end consent, and we agreed to move up 3.1 at public hearing. So we go to item 3.1 is receives intention on non-profitable housing and farmer housing development.
And Mr. Chair, I believe this is for our time constraint individuals, but I'm gonna let Cindy from RA and Bling let you.
Okay.
Hi there. Thanks so much for moving this item forward. Our state representative also be appreciative of as well. Stephanie Reck, your plan here today to present an overall discussion on affordable housing, the focus on farm worker development, other social needs relations. So first and foremost, I'm going to pass it off to the State Department of CD. We have Maziar Wasaki, the Assistant Deputy Director of Federal Financial Assistance, and Carl Scott, the Assistant Deputy Director of State Financial Assistance, to talk to us about some ways we can affordable housing and others. So Maziar and Ari, off to you.
Thank you, Ruka. Good morning, everyone. Just making sure everybody's here. My audio.
We can.
Well, thank you. Honorable Board, thank you for this opportunity to present the Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery CDGR dollars that are being posed for San Benito County. So next slide, please. I know in a short amount of time, I got a lot of information to cover. So let's start off the top. The grant was allocated to California for 3 federally declared disasters. R6 that covers Benito County as well. Disaster recovery for 758 and 407. These are floods. DR 69 in Benito County floods in March of 23. For San Diego, it was flood January 24. So Congress made special appropriation and allocated $416 million, $587,000 to the CDGDR programs for the eligible communities. Next slide, please. We conducted an extensive amount of engagement with our local government partners. We held a minimum of 3 rounds of meetings, explaining program, doing data exchange to get feedback on different programs proposals. Very appreciative of the folks on your team and Rita, Ramon, and their teams engaged with providing information. We all coordinated with the state agencies were mandated to do this as part of CBGR implementation plan, and all engagement with local nonprofits and disaster case managers so they identify what are the unmet cover needs from the disaster, because it is a bit time. This is designed program by to come in the recovery process, close gaps. Unfortunately, we did identify is that we have about $1.5 billion of recovery need from these disasters. Only 400 took the public input and proposed these recovery programs in action plan went to 30 public comment period that did in the middle of it. We proposed housing program. Housing would identify the largest need, and there are 3 components to the housing program: $155.6 million to construct new need-restricted affordable rent housing, $52 million to rehabilitate and construct owner-occupied homes, the homes that were owned and occupied as primary residents at time of the disaster, but still have air and recovery needs. $14 million for first-time buyer assistance program, down payment assistance program that will allow renters to become homeowners and also consider maybe reducing their profile, move from maybe a high flood or a high fire area to a lower profile. We also allocated $142 million infrastructure. There are tribes here that they got their own designations that we're going to be working with as well. And lastly, we want to highlight Insure's Resiliency Pilot Project. Insure's already come up discussions earlier today with the board and top-lined many stakeholder community. So allow me to dive in a little deep in these, talk about specific San Benito County. Next slide, please. First, talk about the multifamily housing construction dollars. This will be administered to region set aside where developers will apply ACD funding. As you can see, San Benito is part of a region set aside with Tulare and Ptolemy County for $20.6 million. That means projects within these counties will compete against one another and the regional set asides. The projects are eligible for a variety of affordable housing projects, senior housing projects. I do want to highlight these are federal dollars and are hand requirements around documentation residency, but they are intended to serve after the population being discussed. Next slide. The infrastructure program of San Benito County received an allocation of $11.4 million for infrastructure projects. This means San Benito County is submitting projects to AC where we'll review alignment eligibility with program environments, national environmental policy need protection. But it's the county that selects the projects. And these are infrastructure projects that could be typical infrastructure projects, roads, utilities, consistent housing, but essentially any project, a public facility on public lands that clearly enhance support housing community for future natural disasters. Lastly, next slide, please. I want to talk about an insurance resiliency program. We recognize insurance is a topic. It is a regulated market that we don't have ability to influence, but are working to identify pilot projects and help build insurance gaps, primarily for MI committees. There are a few pilot insurance projects that we want to see if we can fill up with other local governments that, for instance, provide insurance payments at the time of disaster without filling out paperwork, basically trigger payment policy, all the way to any local governments have invested in reducing the risk profile of community, actually quantifying that and taking to the insurance companies to get rate reductions for folks who live in the community. So we're excited about this new venture, but really intend to start telling some concerns on insurance costs and availability. Let's stop there and take any questions. Gary's also on the call and we have to answer any questions, but open the saw implement around housing and different types of housing infrastructure support to the San Benito County.
Would you like to move forward with the rest of the presentation before we
Yeah, I think
comments?
because of the time constraint, we take questions for HD and the state representatives before we move forward with other stuff here. Any questions, comment on the board on this aspect of this?
I just want to thank ACD and the team for putting together. It was a lot of information that came very last minute. We've been reaching out to understand we could get dollars to help support housing projects, especially after natural disasters, and it was a fantastic example of where there is money that may be able to help support our local residents. So I want to thank them so much for being on our item team.
Supervisor Velasquez. Any questions? Supervisor Zanger.
Just real So even though allocated for infrastructure, the $11.4 million, we still need to apply for, we need to identify whatever projects that grow they wanted under infrastructure or multi-family housing, all be competitive.
For infrastructure, it is for infrastructure. You apply, you submit projects HC and draw them from your 11 million application. So you solve that. For affordable housing developers will apply directly to ADD, but part of the packages we be required entitlements are received, and there is a solution from the board supporting the project apply HC as well. That will be competitive for projects is a lot of and Benito.
So the 20.6 million is a competitive that the developers are going after for the affordable housing in San Benito County, competing with Tuolumne and Tulare. Am I understanding correctly?
Correct.
Okay, the man and submit that, and those dollars are ours. Okay, all right, thank you so much. Thank you for presentation.
Thank you. The presentation came here somewhere we added the public see it. And there's some technical issues with the agenda system.
So, sorry, the information will be on the agenda by tomorrow.
Thank you for that. Question, it's the first time has this program allocated our county in the past in prior years?
We have reached CDG funds before. Would direct that to Enrique Arreola to answer the question.
I'd be to hear that I guess should have been more specific as far as the infrastructure allocation.
You know, I can't specifically answer that. That'd be a question for potentially Steve Lupe, who was here for infrastructure. I don't know if representatives we have on the call know if funds been allocated to San Benito for infrastructure in the past.
Mr. Mayor, it's my understanding, and because we can verify this with Steve, it's understanding that the program was enhanced because of the norms 2023. And so this is to solve some of those flooding issues, and this is not the level of fund it would get previously in application process. That's my understanding from the reach that I did.
There's another minor issue in a lot of the qualifications for CDG funds is that you have a client housing element. To have out on CDG funds this last cycle because we did not have an in client housing element.
Great, thank you. I heard that we potentially use dollars toward road amendments.
Correct, for sure.
Yes, that's $1.5 million. We propose we bring back a resolution to eventually allocate last pay that $11 million toward road improvements.
Round do assessment of like need in the county. I think roads are kind of important, but I hate to pass other needs that we not think about today and put all toward roads. So I prefer to see a little bit more assessment of the needs in the county right now rather than all roads.
And I know see a doubt, but just hearing that, I would entertain bringing an item back. We'll have a further discussion about what the best use of $1.5 million for structure allocation so that we move forward as soon as possible on time for the dollars. If somebody from Ed can note of that, see the step program. I appreciate that. Anything further on that aspect from anyone? That we could next point of this, or would you little?
It's you. We can continue.
Because we have here public hearing 9. I apologize, but we have time issue state. We could take a pause on the item, continue it back to word of 3.1, and then take us back. The public hearing was scheduled for 9:30 and go with starting item 0.1, was hold public hearing review general plan and the housing element 6 o'clock. We're continuing the item, so it would be the ability to comment. We'll bring it back to 3.1 because it's actually part of 3.1.
Thank you, Chair of the Board. Evening. In this part of 2023, as you recall, Kimberly Hoare was hired as a consultant for our San Benito update of the physical health elements. And since has been working very closely with them every 2 weeks, sometimes for a long period of time weekly. And after multiple planning commission meetings regarding the housing update, multiple board supervisor meetings before in the past, multiple joint planning commission board meetings and various committee meetings as well, and working very closely with city. On April 1st, city found that county cycle housing element meets statutory requirement of the state housing element law. Therefore, County of Benito now adopt the site health element, which is still closer to certification. And we obtained the final on April 1st. Staff moved quickly to schedule a special planning commission meeting. At the special planning commission meeting of April 30th, the planning commission unanimously approved resolution 2025-6, essentially for the recommendation to adopt the 6-site house element to the supervisors. We are part here for today. He is requesting that along with the adoption of the cyclical housing element prior certification of HCD, that too, not only the programs within the housing element are it's a period of time to work and implement it, but this particular case, city is requesting this occurs prior to certification of the housing element. What it is there's a big which identifies the candidate sites in housing element. It's your packet. There's about 12 different sites, and so what city is requesting it for implementation of that program. Essentially, there are 12 parcels which currently have our designation of 820 dwellings per acre. They would like us to implement the upzone of that, which is actually 8 to 20 minimum up to 45 dwellings per acre. And that those parts you'll see in a little bit. They're all for area of city officer for the part, and we'll go over that into a little bit. Therefore, respect recommends 1, please approve a resolution for plan amendment adopting the housing amendment cycle update, and 2, adopt a resolution initiating a plan amendment for 12 parcels in the Appendix B, amending the density of 8 to 2 dwelling units per acre to 40 dwelling units per acre. Those particular parcels pursuant to Program 3-2 of the cyclical housing element. With that, project manager Kimberly Hoare will be putting more on details of the housing element. Right?
I mentioned as Brian Torre. I'm with Kimley Associates. So we kicked off this project in June 2023. Throughout this process, and now we've had a series of community workshops and community workshops. I believe 4 joint planning committee and supervisors workshops, kickoff meetings, and throughout the process, just various times for the public comments, agent process. In Appendix C of the Housing Element, you'll see that there's comprehensive engagement and process for this. So jump into the housing element. So the housing element itself is only element when the general plan that needs to be certified. So you only needs to go to state, be reviewed, vetted, compliance with state. So that certification process is what we're going through now. The concept of being certified is this one, just as you mentioned, so much earlier, was the lack of funding and grants. So that having a complete housing is typically one of the criteria to be either eligible or to have a rank for these funding sources. The second consequence of non-certification is lost suspension of local control. So they or court can come in and say you're made it to a project or send your little ordinance. A lot of others known as this remedy. Benefit of certification is get access to that funding, show that we can accommodate housing needs. It protects the county, community from building remedies, local control rooms within the community. The housing amendment is broken down in 6 chapters, 3 appendices. Chapter 1 is related to describe how housing is structured, the state laws are, courses are, community profile, that's just a shot, demographics, looking at our population, age, thinking background, housing age, so on and so forth. Housing constraints, we just have various constraints to housing, housing resources, just summary resource that both the county has, maybe regionally, statewide, federal resources to not only just develop housing, but also to help individual accessing. There are 5, which is in bold. One emphasizes affirmatively furthering fair housing. This is a concept that started in the last cycle, been around for a time, but really been mandated and pushed in this cycle for this housing element. In a bit, we'll go into what affirmatively furthering fair housing is, and how we plays a role in this element. Chapter 6, policy, so it's really our action items, how we're going to accomplish our goal. So we have a couple, not a goal, we have programs there that will go to. Appendix A is our review of our last housing element. So how do we do? What's the program made? Appendix B is sites. So these sites accommodated housing on, and as Abraham mentioned, it's 12 parcels that we'll review in a second. See a comprehensive list and summary of our community engagement. Skip this. So Appendix B is our house sites analysis. When we reviewed our sites, looked at our existing zoning, existing relation, existing land addition, we realized that we need to create a strategy. So we would preserve land. We didn't want to accommodate, a couple of here and there. Decided to consolidate these. I do emphasize that not required to develop housing. We're required to accommodate for housing, so make sure that we're eliminating constraints to development of housing. Do this in this ways. We show and we analyze there is sufficient capacity to develop. The main, we'll go to the criteria in a second, but the main criteria is having access to utilities or in proximity to utilities. We want to accommodate housing somewhere to be not cost effective to develop housing. It's really what makes sense. And again, back to affirmative further housing, I'm going to refer to it as FFH, affirmatively fair housing. It's a mouthful, but what means that we're enforcing and ensure we comply with all state and federal law regarding fair housing. So that by not concentrating affordable housing just in an area or the opposite, not segregating affordable housing to areas. So we want to attribute, make sure that our affordable housing is integrated to the community, so it has a fair set of housing. In the next slide here, we go into our actual here of what we're looking at in the housing element. So we looked at existing zoning, we realized that we had a option. Either it's stay with our existing zoning and select me sites, it was going to be like 100 to get to a role, or we can increase the zoning on areas surrounded other residential use already, and upzone. So we're able to originally identify those 19 sites through our public processes. I believe the commission requested that 4B taken out. I believe this spot requested another 2. We got down 12, which we'll view. So I have a bunch of maps, but we identify the areas that are kind of around the city of Hollister, have access to utilities. So identified what we call King Island. So those are properties that are within county jurisdiction, but are around pretty much on all sides by the city of Hollister. So it makes sense to kind of do up there. It's already surrounded by housing or already has access to utilities. And proposal, the reason is currently called the residential high, can be just in convention using the housing element, really up to the county's decision what ultimately that name convention be. But the proposal is for 20 to 45 dwellings per year. We haven't establishing specific development centers yet. One development center we did that though in our estimation limit in the neighborhood sector. We want to go to high end limit. So within 3 limit, we determined that 20 to 45 units would be feasible. Here is a summary of all of our housing element strategies. So I'll start very top. So Arena, which is regional housing need location, that's our goal for the county. So see at the very right on the top row, 754 units is our limit, our unit allocation for the entire county. But that's inclusive of all unit categories. So it's broken down by 4 unit categories. So extremely low, very low income, those come together. Low income, moderate income, above moderate income. So see that it's kind of about 2/3 are for lower, low, moderate, and then about 1/3 for above moderate. This is overall decrease from its level. I think the reduction in the overall unit total is over 100. I'll go through strategy that we've assumed to accommodate total. And that's in line with our projected ADU construction. So we took the units that were already built permitted in the last, or from 2018 through 21. The total we averaged out, and that total just projected if the same development pattern continues throughout 8 years. We developed 119 ADU there. Next, we have pipeline projects. They're projects that are entitled and just haven't pulled permits yet, so they're still eligible to an advantage of review. So they haven't been approved yet. Having them on this list doesn't prove them either. Just an estimate that they can assume, you know, if process applies with our ordinances or regulations, they can eventually develop with the cycle. And our last thing we have is a snapshot in July up to July 23. Now the unit is, the total is higher, but these are units that were already reserved certificates of occupancies. And below we have our REIT strategy. So we'll see that from 12 parcels, we estimate conservatively that about approximately 1,044 units developed. About half are on vacant properties, and the half are on non-vacant properties. The non-vacant properties are mostly vacant, not completely vacant, but the purpose of this house, they are considered non-vacant. At the very bottom, we can meet our REIT at this strategy. Just the blind project zone, we meet our above moderate, and the strategy we made is to us. Here we have a map of all our sites. You'll see up on the top left, there's two categories, the rezone sites. Those are the 12 parcels that have been identified as potential rezone sites. And then in the orange color, pipeline projects. So again, project have already been titled and have pulled their permits, or project are currently going under reviews.
Pause for a moment.
Yeah, of course.
Whether now or later, I think it would be wise for to go through each of these, the explanation of streets we're dealing with. But of course, you can do that after. Okay, go.
We are operating with the answer. You can go in and view some of these. We can zoom in small to see if there's any specific site we want to look at. We have the map zoomed in, so we can address those. And we do that now.
That's great. I appreciate it from personally. It's hard to see it on a map.
Is there any specific site that you'd like to see?
To go with
all of them? Okay. So we'll start with this cluster. Can't see. Cluster, R1, R7, R8, and R9. All those properties are contiguous. They're all, two of them are owned by the same property owner, and I think two others are owned by the property owner. R1 is completely vacant. R7, 8, and 9 are not completely vacant. They're split by Benito Road to the, to the west of Benito Road is completely vacant, and to the right, there's no family homes.
Cross streets?
This is below Hollister High School.
Okay.
Yeah, high school. So, yeah, so to the west of Benito Road, all of that's completely vacant. So that's where we assume the development would happen. It'd be essentially be a division. It would be natural subdivision. It's already subdivided and formed by the road, but it's still technically one part on both sides of the road. Yeah, on the east of the road, R7, R8, and R9, one parcel has a family home on a very small area parcel, and already informally divided well with fences, and so the property isn't utilized. They have R2 on the kind of central area, that's within City of Hollister. It's within the county's jurisdiction, and it's an county island, so it's completely vacant. It's served by utilities, has roads on the east and west side, has access, it's surrounded by residential on all sides, and the school on the wide there.
So that would call it.
Yes. No.
All right, sorry, I did not see that. It's not good with them.
And then R4 there on the left side, that's completely vacant pretty there. We use that because it already has access, surrounded by residential on two sides, in that prime location for development. We have R11 there at the very bottom, so that's about the City of Ulster boundary, and that is a single-family home on a part of the parcel. The rest of the parcel is partially used for agriculture, and the rest is vacant there.
What's the streets?
That, I think that
next to school?
Yes. Yeah. Is there any other questions on Zoom here?
That was just to go those.
Yeah. And then you have here is more like the east side, closer to Santana Ranch. So we have R5, which is completely vacant parcel there. These streets and the cross here. Got it. So Fairview and Colorado, not above the corner intersection, but it cuts around that property that is on the right corner. And again, R10, the property on paper is non-vacant. Functionally, it is vacant. There's one structure kind of right on the middle of a property line. So it's technically non-vacant, but for all intents and purposes, it is vacant.
What's the cross streets?
It's Hilks, I believe.
Can you point, so we're there, talking about the green or the yellow?
The green.
Yeah. So R5 is across the street, basically from Santana Ranch.
Correct.
West Fairview, and R10 is further down on Hillcrest.
Quick question, if maybe know this, got the reports from Fire, and definitely the east side of Fairview in the fire zone, portions of Fairview along the west side are also fire zone. Do you know if those two are in the fire zone?
Yeah, we'll try to look at the map and confirm what we're inside them, but not off the top of my head.
Thank you. The new maps came out 2 months ago. For that, or not, and I don't quote on that. We'll be looking at, if I remember correctly, none of our hits were affected. But we'll confirm in a second. And then we have our 3 small C, but there is also a complete vacant property. Just makes sense, it was next to residential, so we utilize that pretty there. Additional questions on these? It's
No, somebody can confirm that fire matter while working this, would be much appreciated.
all right. And then here we have the northwest portion, show a little bit of sites that already lat. So being on the bottom, we already did that. But with our 12, this is a pretty on the north side, or yeah, north central area of Ulster. This is next to backside of 2 new hotels there. It's within, surrounded on all sides by the city of Hollister. It's currently, believe it or not, it's agricultural productive designate, but it's not agriculture. It's it's a storage facility there, or some commercial or industrial facility there. So this is agricultural. That's kind of a leftover.
Number is that again?
R12. So the top one. Control. It's off, I believe, Philly Road. San Felipe.
What's the cross?
This is Benito. Just go straight on.
Felipe
and Benito. So it's to
that's there.
yeah.
Is it across from Devils?
Yeah, I think it's right next to the I forgot called. Yeah, Loftus. Yeah. So when on Benito Road, it looks like a property that's all connected, kind of towards the back where you structure. This part front San Benito, it looks scant, but it is connected. And then we have 6, which is on that kind of corner Vista. That is all of the property there. Yeah, in the county jurisdiction.
Anyone is in keeping to cover them all? Yeah, so.
Got it. And I also, what we mentioned is the top annexation. I know that's up on some of their public meetings and workshops. So anytime there's an annexation process, that annexation situation will be dealt with the jurisdictions involved. So that entail would be the county, and in this situation, most likely city of Worcester comes to agreement, whatever the chair of that would be. So, for example, R2, which is in there, say to have just a nice number, it's 100 units there. If that was the answer to city of Worcester, that 100 units through an agreement be shifted to this policy. So our arena obligation would reduce, and the city of policy would increase. Only really get advantage of whatever already accommodated. So if we, in our house, if we estimated that to be 100 units, but then the city of Hollister X's it, they develop 500 units. We can't get advantage of 100 units. We can only advantage on that property. So you'd have an agreement, your council, city council, and the COG really mediate that, and the COG signs off on it, approves it, then it's HD. It's not HD that's approved this agreement, it's going to be the COG, it couldn't be up in that. And with that, it's just speaking next steps. As I mentioned on April 1st, we received our letter from HD that we achieved statutory compliance. Just means comply with all state law. We can't be certified until the county completes those reasons that are identified in the housing element, and once also adopted the housing element itself. So once those done are complete, we'll compile a final seal, and that HCD would have 60 days to view and provide their certification letter. And with that, I'll leave the recommendation to staff, and we're still working on confirming the maps.
So the recommendation, we first to respect adopt the housing element for you, and to the nation of a amendment for the abolition of the 12 sources per 32 request at the HC. And checking with the department whether they're looking at those ticket sites.
And I'm gonna call, before we call the comp, take a minute and we're right back. Okay.
Recording stop.
Of course. Right after.
If you'd like to come in chamber, please provide a speak card. Zoom, you can press your hand icon or star 9.
Chamber, we have Renee.
Good evening, staff and supervisors. My name is Renee Baez. I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to. I'm a representative for the Workers Union, also a resident of Hollister. I live in District 4. Just want to something fundamental to the success of our households. As we shape our county's housing element, we must remember that housing policy is not just about unit and numbers, it's also about real people. And behind every affordable home, there's a workforce behind it. We have an ability to ensure that workers who are building our future can also afford to live in it. That's why labor standards matter. And this is why I mentioned apprenticeship opportunities. Ensure that young workers, especially those in underserved communities, have a real path into stable middle-class careers. Choose healthcare access, right, of course. Helps workers stay healthy, financially secure, reduce reliance on emergency services, and public support. Local policies. Keep the economic benefits of development right here in communities. When we are low, we build wealth where we're building housing. Also, labor compliance and oversight ensures that these commitments are more than just promises on paper, become real enforceable protection. Often say we and community-driven, but that doesn't start when the keys are hit over. It all starts when the shovel hits the ground. We cannot separate how we build from what we build because we know that good jobs and affordable housing comes hand in hand. Let's make sure our housing element and general plans and things that should reflect not just the need for roofs and walls, also dignity, opportunity, and fairness in every step of the process. So I urge the supervisor to review, adopt labor standards. We have other cities like Seattle, Santa Clara, Capitola, and those nations that have adopted housing elements that have included labor standard language and current language of the developers. So I just wanted to mention those things. I want to thank you for your time, and I hope this in any way possible. Thank you so much.
Now you have said.
Good morning, Chair and the members. My name is North Carolina Region, all Hall resident of District 2. I'm here strongly urge you to adopt the commission recommendations and include the labor engagement language in 6 cycle general housing plan. Language and developers contract to evaluate hiring low labor, training for or to do apprentice program, increasing resources for labor plans, and writing new wages. The standards not only support our construction workforce, they also create paths for field workers, especially young people who choose to enter trades rather than attend college. The practical and forward-thinking investment in our local economy, our workers, and quality of our housing. I hope you use our important step and the plan commission recommendation. If it's too late, just let me know when it's time to add it to general plan. Thank you.
Next, I have Elliot Salinas.
Good morning. Wow, this is fantastic. This is like I told so. And I am told so. You have several projects coming in with regards to builders already, and there's nothing you can do about it. There'll be more, and there's nothing you can do about it because you're still playing. Supervisor Anger, 2 years ago, I think in the month of February, put out a video about how Sam County is in compliant. More than 2 years ago, we're still in compliant, and that video was incorrect. The sphere of influence that is that as you have so contested and bad mouth the previous mayor, Katie, about that it's going to create thousands and thousands of homes because of the fear of influence for the city of house. But here you are, San Diego County Board of Supervisors, where you're going to have to come up 400 homes, units. You have to be incredible because you don't have to do it in next year or the next 2 years. It has to get done. Here's the thing. You want to try to use fire zone to say the right away, like we can stop building because we say it's a fire zone, so we don't have to approve it. Well, you're already placing the entire county in fire zone because we might run out of contract with the Hollister Fire Department while you try to create a new fire department. You comply with the state asks you to do, and if you comply, you lose funds. You have a lot of opportunity, and you have had past opportunities to apply for funds, and you fail to do so. Not just housing development, but other ones that have been out there. Take the advice, recommendation from staff, and approve the housing action that we have a housing crisis in the entire state of California. You have the opportunity to prove low-income houses cleared up the river. It's in process, that we don't have a place for those folks to live. Think of that. Where we put the people. Let's start planning. We can have homes for everybody. Thank you.
Do you have Jennifer?
How many we have?
I have 4 left.
Okay, great.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jennifer Garcia, and I work with Youth Alliance, particular to the program called Avenida. Avenida is a federally funded program that offers supportive services to those youth that are just 18 to 24 and unhoused in our county. I currently have a caseload of 19 adults who face homelessness and are lacking permanent housing. Only 2 of those 19 youth are unemployed. So being employed is not a restriction. Rent is ridiculously high, which is the main reason as to why any of these youth can afford it, such as also having other barriers like having high security deposit and prior credit history. We all know that while permanent and stable housing is very difficult to stay afloat, these youth are resilient. It is our due diligence to give them the opportunity to become sufficient and have a home. Creating more housing opportunities give them this opportunity, and would also give an opportunity to a family who had to live in a shelter for 7 months. She had to give birth out in a home encampment. Creating more housing opportunities gives you the ability to focus in school, reach a higher education, and continue on with their lives. Please approve the housing element. Thank you.
Next is Nessa. On standby, I have
Good morning. My name is Vanessa. I am a youth advocate, and as a youth advocate, I want to take the opportunity to be able for our youth that are doing what can get ahead of what they were once before. So youth have employment and furthering their education. They volunteer their time and give to our organizing as well as community we all rated. The only major obstacle these is being and maintaining housing due to rent being unattainable and unreasonable. Do youth be the support of our community? Youth gives the support of our community to provide them with affordable housing. Again, youth are very motivated to elevate themselves from where they once were before, and to put those reading signs not just for them but for children as well. They need a lot of support and affordable housing to set them for success. Thank you for time and consideration.
Anna Ortiz.
Good morning, Supervisors and community. My name is Diana. I'm the CEO of Youth Alliance, and just had staff talk a bit about the NEDA program that we started to at the roots of the community because of the high need, increased need for young people and minors in our county. And so this is that we do love diligence in supporting young people go out all over the county to provide some resources. But we've heard over and over again, like we heard at the survey that's done, is that affordable housing is the #1 issue. It's the priority for young people and for families to be able to afford a home and a place to live. So I'm asking you, please adopt an approved housing element and general plan amendment so that the county can receive funds, the CG fund and other funds, and help the county's economic situation, as well as support needs of our workforce, veterans, young people, and our residents of Benito County. Recently, I know I mentioned that the camp was vacated. I think, the issue of homelessness, right, this problem that we have of housed young people out in the community can be solved by building affordable housing. So I just wanted to ask you, please respond to these, respond to the opportunity here to do this for our community, for the future of our residents in San Pedro. Thank you.
Chair, Supervisors, President of Community Development for All, focuses on helping local governments, resident leaders, and developers to create more housing at all income levels. We fully support staff's recommendation today to upzone 12 parcels present. This will give the county a much stronger housing element and retain its local control over future development. Higher density up to 45 units and can achieve these sites with very appealing and functional design integration in existing neighborhoods. The site reflects infill opportunity adjacent to existing infrastructure. This will help more families and workforce live closer to jobs, services, parks, and schools, reducing vehicle miles traveled, which is better for roads and our environment. Thank you for your today.
Jeffrey.
Good morning, and thank you for Cal Public Finance Group, the municipal advisor to the Benito High School District. Happy to be today. School district is very supportive of the county's policy in terms of provide housing development, and most specific policy 2.1, which provide infrastructure to support housing development to your arena members. Of paramount importance to us is to work very closely with the county in order to provide the infrastructure needed to address students coming from that development. And we saw that there are a number of properties today that we rezoned, and we very much look forward to working with you and your staff to providing the infrastructure for all students in San Pedro County. Thank you very much.
On Zoom, I have Timothy.
There you go. Good afternoon, Supervisors. Again, I just want to talk about the housing element, and hope that we can move forward on improving this, and just about the responsible look at why we should move ISO in our housing element. Also, be smart, and I just want to see how we could leverage this recent infrastructure funding, hold operators accountable for their impact on our region. First, lost order grants and delays in the housing. Funds could have used to support housing infrastructure. Currently now received $1 million in infrastructure funding, and responsible to that highest use. That could be widening 25, which is aimed at overbuilding an overpass on 22 and 25 mission. Both are critical safety and mobility measures. But we can't about traffic infrastructure out mid-Amazon as well. The company has opened a mass warehouse facility in our community, and that has a significant increase in trucking through traffic. That impact was an accidental improve. Now it's our job for the Amazon helps with the straight putting on roads, housing up, and roosters.
Tim,
yeah.
if you get closer to your, please cannot hear you.
Okay, sorry, man. I'm saying that. Hear me better?
Not really, sir.
Okay. It's cool. I get.
You slow down in your speech and we hear you.
Okay. I was just trying. There's only 2 minutes trying to run through a little bit, but I was trying to leverage Amazon, talking about leading Amazon because of their impact on the community, and also for support that scale economic development, which also the housing to that more people need. It's not realistic, sustainable to keep slow growth. While we like large logistics operation of this history, housing isn't just an obligation; it's about fairness. It's about doing our sure that far more people are experiencing homeless a place to live. So we want to miss the opportunity. Let's stop the slow narrative that slows opportunity for those at the bottom, and move forward with infrastructure, housing, and policies to make the community for everyone, not just corporations.
We have further comments.
Thank you much. We'll close the public hearing. Bring it back to the board. Questions, comments? Anybody in particular want to start?
I have 10 questions to go ahead, sir.
Mr. Zinger?
No, you know, he's more, go ahead, you start off.
I appreciate the work. There's been an ongoing conversation, a lot of peace to this. You know, a lot of people think churches build will solve our. We found that to be the opposite of reality. So, planning is a critically important part of what we have to do as a community, so we can absorb in the community without continuing to more taxes, or traffic. We have a special community here that once we lose, we've lost forever. And there's plenty of examples of this state of planning in favor of overdevelopment. So I'm going to go to the question. Our net numbers are 754, but we're showing the potential of 4,000. How do we go back to the conversation? How do we our arena numbers what we have rather than over this and end up in the same exact situation? So show me a map, show me how we arena numbers of the 754, and we can say conversation from here.
Can we get the computer projected? There we go. So that 4,408 that you're referring to is the bottom right there. So I'll start by addressing looking at the plan projects. So these are projects that were already approved or currently we call the plans. They're currently under review, and they meet the county's relationship development standards, codes. Those particularly built out. So you'll see that just the pipe project alone, that covers all our arena for the above merit. So that really was no issue. We didn't really have to do much work to us. And I'll move over to the other.
So let's step back. The 2077 pipeline projects. How much that 754 does that meet?
Only meet 207.
Only meet 207 that 2067.
That income category, correct.
Okay, so I want to make sure everyone understands that these are homes that are $100,000+. They're not affordable housing that we keep asking for, because you're right, we need for housing in our community. But what we don't need is 1,000 houses that are only can afford, so it leads to traffic. Go on.
Yeah. Since we have moderate income category, that obligation to the county is 103. And we'll see also that through project ADUs and pipeline projects, that also we didn't really need to accommodate or identify additional unit there. So we're on track to meet those. We're in of moderate income, where we have difficulty addressing extremely low, very low, and low categories. We were able to project approximately 260-ish units through projection of ADUs, pipeline projects, and unit were already certified. So those 24 units already had received certificate of occupancy River 2, but that still left with a remaining need of 160 units, and that's where we posed the rezone there. But in vain housing, didn't concentrate all of these units just to address the extremely low, and low income. We needed to distribute these units, but as not to concentrate or segregate units, just to the sites to identify. So that's why you see that strategy of spreading out the units across in categories. And we had to use a methodology based off of both past development within the county and with the region, but so methodology that she approved. So we could have, in theory, assign all of these units to just one income category, but that's something that HCD will have both issue with, what need us to justify that. This spread out of the units is more of a justification of a realistic building outcome. So that's why you see the units we accommodated for extremely low, very low income are surpassed our goals, and that's intentional because we want to offer. So if there was, say, for example, one or two more of these units here, these sites didn't develop, we would have to come back the new identify sites to be able to address arena. But if have unit above our goal and hypothetic 1 or 2, 3 more sites don't develop as assumed, we still have offer and we still have options. We don't have to come back and readopt a new element. We'll have to do this whole other analysis again because we want to make sure we have sufficient capacity.
Oh, so let's put this down. We're short of 160 unit arena. Right? Those have to be more affordable scale, which we all agree is what we really need. Good, we're there. Problem is adding a whole bunch more so we get this. This is where the problem comes up. 15, 20%, whatever number, or EU. What I want to see, what here, how we make up 168, let's call it 200, so we can round it off. So many requirements, and those are on the full side. That's what I'm going to talk about here. I'm talking about all the other projects that don't happen, and so not meeting requirement, but we actually are because we already approved allowing them to happen. So I don't want to build affordable or apartments if they can just start with single families. And once they start, they build single family, all of it is worth it for them any longer. I don't want to see it happen. I will not let it happen. I played this game too long. You've seen too many people come in here and try to live with us and, crow and what else they want to. Or try to scare people to saying things, they're going to build an 8-story apartment building next to you. Have any apartment buildings planned?
At this point, you have one apartment pipeline. It's just in the.
Is it 8 stories?
8 stories.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to do. This is what we need is some apartments, multi-family housing. What we don't need is to keep coming up with personal family and what percentage of lower edge of the ADU. Let's do this right. I want to get to 200 number is what I want to get today. I don't get to the 4,000 number. That's not going to happen there. We get to 200, go back to apps is what we can do.
You want to take it over next?
Sure. Thank you. So just back on a lot, we was saying we need the 160 to affordable, but we have to add 1,000 of moderate to get 168 is the way we're looking at this.
So the strategy of splitting out the income categories, yes, that's what the rate would be, and it was all in development of that. What we also assumed as well is the engineering housing ordinance will require a certain amount of housing. So that percentage is not exactly housing, it's one of the tools. So that's realistic.
Right, because like 16%. So basically, right, I'm looking at HCNR to a percentage of that. So Abraham, and roughly, do you know how many above moderate houses have been built in the county in the last decade or so?
In the decade, we have those numbers. Supervisor, we have met even beyond the above moderate, pretty much through our housing amendment. Current for cycle numbers we have been actually met already as well for a moderate. And so these 12 parcels that we hear, especially if they are upzoned, would allow for that high density to tend to be able to have more specific for housing. Definitely, like I mentioned, the percentage of the engineering is what will help with those 2 parcels be able to meet those. Is likely that the higher density can partner with a housing agency like CSD, but other try to we can have a more affordable element with those 12s.
Right, but so, 1,000 in the last 10 years, right? I mean, we had San Rancho, like at this point, 1,000 over there.
There's probably 700 to 800 units so far, so it's 100 or so total.
Okay, so I just want to make a point. We built all that above moderate over the last decade, a lot of homes, and the average home price has greatly increased. That has the rent. So I think that was going to build 1,000 above moderate homes, and somehow it's going to help lower the rent, the housing price. We don't see that playing in reality, like I think so. It just does play out that way. So we need to do that in mind for house discussion. And I'll just, I don't know, it's tough because to be short, that's just almost 200 affordable to add, 1,000 above moderate with our constraints and with the traffic and everything else. I don't know. I'd like from the red board, but something to seem like correct here.
Yeah, I do want to mention that all of these units, are high. I know they're shocked. You're approving any project, not approving either reasons. Today, this I just housing on it, the reason will be separate public hearing. So you're not approving any of these projects, it's just estimation. Any other project is identified, they might come in and develop as needed. So these are not the only unit that will develop. These are not the only units that can develop. It could be anything outside of the housing unit. This is just a strategy that we put on for to show that it's a city.
So more.
It could be 0, it could be 10,000. I don't know. Market dictates. This is just having it on paper to show that there's a city.
Right. Thank you, Brad. May I add to just a brief? Right. These are there are specific sets that HCA is asking for. That's part of all housing elements that as a jurisdiction we need to show in the appendix. But like any other part, somebody can come in and ask for potential development, and we would process the application as required. These particular sites highlight as part of what HCA's request from the jurisdiction. There's our jurisdiction indicating how we put it. They were chosen specifically because infrastructure is close, but we would to the process like out of jurisdiction water, sewer, potentially with the city policy for most of the sites, potential annexation may required. But it still has to go through all of the process. CEQA and those projects specifically come on by one basis, planning commission, and depending on CEQA and EIR required to board of supervisors as well.
Thank you. So on that, the meant that we're not actually rezoned, we're just so what if we go forward and then we have to do reasons that are in line with this, right? We're technically doing it. Would we be bound to that at this point?
So the strategy in the housing amendment, you'd be adopting the housing amendment itself, and then the zones are housing amendment itself would require for certification.
Right. And to be clear, we talked about this is a long process. As far as if we addict 12 sites, these sites I think are sites to pick. I'm just wondering if I guess I'm coming, if we do need all of the sites, if we end up all that above moderate, if we go the route. That's all. I'll set it for now.
Curl.
One, you for all of this. I think we all agree the low, very low income is the priority. It's how to get there. In the experience I've seen in working in affordable housing, you don't get out giving. And if we are willing to invest millions of dollars in affordable housing at county, we don't have to do an inclusionary housing. The calculations would be, those methodology would change that. Is that correct?
But there's no specific answer to it. Generally, interested, yes.
So in having inclusionary housing, it's putting the construction cost of affordable housing on the developers. And it squeezes out the amount of affordability because they're focusing on market rate. They all know that. That's what do. And I agree completely with Supervisor Velasquez. We need to be making sure that affordable is built first. We get the commercial first, and you make market rate. And how that comes out in county council development agreements, we haven't really had a conversation back. So, but being able to understand the only way to get around, and not an expert, but tell me if I'm wrong, having inclusionary and having to do this math, mythology, math problem, is if someone comes in with a lot of money and either donate land, donate money, or brings affordable housing here. But in my experience, you got to give to get, whether that's waiting permit fees, waiting impact fees, whether that's donating land. That's the only way you're going to get in this kind of leading up to affordable housing item that's what I wanted to talk about, but it's very important too. Ensuring that affordability is priority in any development needs to be a priority as board. And so how can we put measures in place that ensure that the affordability element is being the priority or moderate or above moderate? So it's one. Also, we know we've heard, because I saw in Benito, builders remedy. How many builders remedy applications do we have now?
Thank you, Chair. Super clear to my question. We have 6 builders remedies. Preliminary application right now. So basically how that works is they go through the process, we review, we have a review committee with all different agencies. We also have state agencies like counties be part of that. Those review committees, we provide comments to generate comments, potential impacts, and so forth. And then we provide those back in the middle, writing those comments to most of the applicants. And at that point, they decide us our preliminary response and whether or not they want to move forward with the application and have more details specifically on those if we want to them.
That's okay.
But, yeah.
I want to highlight of those is how you reject the builder's remedy by having infrastructure. So having water and wastewater is how you stop builder's remedy from happening. I'm just seeing it the way I see it. Is that correct?
There must be a quantifiable objective oriented and reject and one, yes.
If we have a water issue, we have water issue, how you stop them happening. So builder's remedy is going to be a uphill battle for the developers to go through this, and they ultimately could roll into litigation in some way, shape, or form to count, which could be, who knows how much that could cost. I'm not expanding on that. I just see and trying to foresee how this is going to play out if we are not approving our housing elements, and we're not getting fund from or available fund from the FES, from HUD and HC, and we're not willing or able, because it's able, we're not able to invest millions of dollars into affordable housing projects. How are we even going to meet our low and very low without partnerships? And that was the whole point of meeting the affordable housing, which will in the future. If we don't adopt this, I see the ramifications in litigation in the future. Just because we adopt this doesn't mean that what's going to be approved or built. We put policy in place that affordable housing is a priority, and I think that the board would be, I can't speak for everybody, but it's where we want to be. So just because it says it could be 0, it could be 10,000, it what it is to be able to get the point that we can get funding come in. That's where I'm at. So thank you for the presentation.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree. We can't repeat history. And I think that we all, like a community, have learned the lesson, right, of this explosive growth. And when you talk about pipeline projects, can you give me some example of what they are? Because from my understanding, some pipeline projects, we're talking, it's 2070 Senate upper. These aren't projects that we approved recently that, with exception of the belief. However, there was quite a bit of the extremely low and low income, and that was approved. But outside of that project, what else has been, what included as pipeline projects?
Sure, thank you for that, Supervisor. So we have, for example, Sound Oaks. And Sound Oaks is 2004 units. There's a commercial component to that as well.
When was that approved, Abraham?
That was, I know the jurisdiction for that was 2015, and then 6 in Lago, and then one day for 20 County of Benito for the native unit, restricted at 5 and over. Also have Tanner Ridge, and that was between 2000 and 2015, and total 1,002 units. There's a commercial component that as well, and there's 100 units so have been approved so far. So there's a few.
I appreciate it. I think the reason I was asking you to kind of that because I feel like all these pipeline projects that are kind of, we begin where we are, right? And so it's fair to say, well, 2077, that this, we're looking at 2044, have 1,000. I think that we are different now, right? We understand the importance of making sure the affordable housing. Back in 2010, 2015, it wasn't this body that was there. That we're seeing the growth is happening now, right? And we get a lot of the blame for that. And I think a real frustration in the community. And so I think that, everybody gonna say, okay, we don't need a lot more of the moderate, but there are no denying that we need the extremely low and the low income, and even the moderate income. We need more of that. We need farm worker housing. We need senior housing. We need housing for young families that are just starting out, or the kids are entering college, or their first jobs. We need that. I think about my own family. My oldest moved away. He's moved out of the community because he can't afford it. And the job opportunities that are here are commuting an hour away. And so we really need to think about that. And so, I think proving this housing element is incredibly important. We're not, don't see any, I don't see this board or even future boards with the listening to the community and working with residents that they wish to put something, have it all be above market. I think everybody like-minded right now in the importance of affordable housing. That's what our community is here. So many of our community members have lived here generations. The future of this generation getting somewhere in there because they can't afford to be here because the influence of other areas are coming. I get it, and not say it's a bad thing. I don't want, if you moved here, you're not worthy. Not that at all. It's just that, we have to do what we can to support this affordable housing. And so approving the housing element, just these are options, the opportunities. There could be, right? But at the end of the day, if I'm understanding this correctly, it still have to go through an entire planning process. It still have to come to the planning commission, come to this body. And if it didn't meet the affordable housing, the inclusionary housing ordinance, if we want to even something more in place, people felt confident about it, we could do those things. But by linking ourselves, getting into builders ready, it's kind of a scary for us as representative up here. It's really scary for the community. I have multiple people come to me and ask. I think this is the way that we should look at doing things here. If we need to get in compliance, I think that we can determine what's to get approved and not approved. This is a way for us to potentially some funding to build some of the affordable housing. Without this, options are nothing. Without this, we have to depend on developers come in and build housing. With that, we're going. So I think this is us more options, more opportunities. It's considering what our community wants. They want the affordable housing. There are some areas that, we're looking at zoning. Some of these I'm not particularly super favorable of, but I assume those projects potentially could come forward, whether that's a year, 10 years now, or whatever. Those are things that we can assess that time does make sense. But us to reject everything right now, I think I think we need to approve this. So thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I may, the 12 parcels that have, whether the other them or not, whether they're indicated in the house element or developer could take right now and apply for 8 to 20 units per acre and would process through the same process as we were if they would be in the housing element. This just basically indicates that these are 12 of all different parts that we have out there that can potentially would meet those requirements. In all 12, basically go over the units specifically point, making sure that we have the affordable housing unit space. We can work with county council to provide mechanisms such as environment development agreement would require the percentage affordable be proposed up front. Those are mechanisms that we work with zone through development agreement to be able to put in place. Through the ad hoc, we have has established, we're working diligently with the member of the board to be able to bring those zoning requirements over to you, and that is something that we staff are definitely committed. The majority of staff also lives in Benito County, and we just want to see affordable housing for our family here as well.
Mr. Chair. I think there are concerns that I'm quickly getting tired of them to use this build remedy a threat from the development community, including people here. You have to go to a process when you're on builders ready. If you rezone, you have to go to a process. Is that correct?
That is correct, Chair Mickey. There is a process regarding the builder's remedy. Not remedies are stampable. It is a process. They are projects. They are good projects per the county environmental quality. So SEQA does like the planning process. Discretion permits are required.
Once you rezone, you're essentially under current state law. You're essentially telling developers their areas they want to build, and it's very hard once you rezone to say no. It's difficult today's environment.
Thank you for that question. Reason is of a community or potential developer, or in this property owners, that if anybody considering development of these particular sites, rezone that will occur in this case if placed by the board, these are the minimum requirements need to be met. And not necessarily saying these are the parcels we encourage you or we require approval. Consider development, you need for sure, you need all that. Above and beyond that, you need to meet the minimum requirements, particularly 20 to 45 subzone of it, units per year are likely more of the townhomes, condominiums. They could be potential single family homes, but it's going to be single family homes, just likely a density of multi-family to meet those minimum 20 minimum requirements. It's not necessarily this we approve, but this is the minimum requirements now with the zone.
Right, and when I look at them, I'm on the same lines as Supervisor Vasquez. I see they require arena build our zone, very important distinction, to zone for accommodate 168 or seeing in the numbers is that we're proposing in the housing element 168, we're proposing 1,020 of inclusion area. Is that accurate?
The other one would require more than the 160 to come forward with developer to potentially develop site, which would allow HC's basic requirement for that is it would allow more of the needs that we have a community to have more family housing. So upzoning, there's less of a chance that these would be some family homes. Upzoning 20 units per acre, these are like going to be more like townhomes, apartments. It could be farmer housing for the family. So it provides more of an incentive for more of a possibility for the country to be able to develop worker owners to develop higher density.
Right, and I'm all in favor of inclusionary housing if done in the right area. If we have infrastructure support, unfortunately, we don't have infrastructure. We really have to focus on infrastructure right now. I'm just wondering why we're accommodating 2,000 or so additional units, and we're only required to accommodate 158. And I understand the notion of buffer, understand the notion of cross income categories, but if we zone 1,024, or we rezone for a low number, could we potentially go later if it was really good low-income project in area? At least I don't at this point. So we do, and we're basically telling open flights in view. One, put them to the housing element. Could we not lower the numbers? And if there's a really advantageous inclusion project, we're going to hear a presentation later from nonprofit developers. I usually get this done with nonprofit developers, and we don't have to do it through building of get-rich homes. So could we go back? Couldn't we start with the lower number? Would that be a possibility of an HC and rezone lowering numbers as far as number of units that were accommodated?
There's always an option. It's not an option that we would recommend because you're lowering number, you're lowering the ratio. You're not lowering just the above moderate, you're lowering the ratio of lower income, middle income, and above, like all of them. Because you can't accommodate just lower income and zero moderate above moderate. It would be going in state law related to.
Are we not a meter requirement for above moderate?
But when you're saying you're only accommodating lower and extremely low, you are but you're also excluding moderate and above moderate.
But we already met our moderate requirement.
Yeah, I understand.
Why convincing do we have to do HC when we've already far exceeded our moderate requirement? Why would we have to convince them that why do we need more of moderate?
Yeah, it's state law. You can't equal opportunity house says you can't exclude household first characteristics, income one of them. So if you're to accommodate just low income, you're discriminating moderate and above moderate income household.
But to me, these numbers are excessive. The 2040 is excessive. We don't have to go that high. I want to see us take this back as quickly as possible because I don't want this to build up any longer. But I see 4,400 units, and a lot of them are already in the pipeline. We're adding on additional 2,040 when we only to account 168 plus. So these are, because when you look at the ratio, actually, you're adding 1,000. So you're adding 1,000. What is 1,020 or so? 1,020 affordable, and you're adding 1,024 market rate. That's basically an even split, right?
Oh, you combining modern low income.
So I don't get the question of that either. So why do you need 1,000 of each, basically, when you only are required to do 168 affordable?
So I'll use an example of a hypothetical project coming in. So say an applicant comes in and proposes 100 units. Your ignorant housing ordinances require at least 15%. So 15% will go to affordable housing. That's what everything else. Unless you can guarantee that you're going to get 100% of full projects, there's no other way to prove that they're all going to be affordable. So you have to show the realistic development pattern is that inclusion. We hope and wish there's 100% affordable projects and affordable housing developed in partnership can make happen and address part of that. But in the market itself, it's not going to guarantee that. So we took a realistic approach that develop come in, a portion of that will be affordable. We can't guarantee that 100% is.
Okay. So, all right. So as far as the map that we saw, I'd like to look at taking out the parcels that are outside of the current limit that are not. I think there's no reason for us to include those parcels in this and to take it back and look at where we're at the number at that point. And I'd also like the consideration just lower the numbers overall. If we're required 160, then yes, we need affordable. When it comes to housing element, that's what we're required to show. And if we show that we're meeting that with some additional other categories, we can always go back if there's projects that we like. We have these nonprofit developers come forward, some that we like affordable. We can all go back and rezone. Am I wrong? And we can just do that. We can all go back, but once rezone with these, and this we're pretty much locked in.
Mr. If I may, you're absolutely correct. There's always possibility, and just so I think we agree that the item have been in for under those remedies are necessarily the way that should be moving forward with, though there are potential quantifiable reasons that they potentially reject. But just you're saying strategy, if approved, and we do have projects that come in, and we do with the affordable housing agency potentially meet those 168 units sooner rather than later. I think at that point we have very compelling reason why we can go to ED and say we've met the 168 units. these and reason, we would like to do a plan amendment back down from downtown annually to you with the 8,000 element to indicate how we have met the requirement, and we need to by law met to AD and to the state office and research to them know how we're doing. If we do a project come in that meet the affordable housing requirements, then we can at some time come before you. We have a stronger housing resource HCD say we've met them. So that point, we like to request to downside back. That's the board. Any change, including, if I may really fast, the labor unions require. We respectfully request there and there to at planning commission we include as of a general amendment the land use. Basically, we thought it was more fitting land use. That way, we don't it changes back to 80, so 80 can hopefully just be able to certify it as we do the reasons. But that's what that will do.
Real last time, I understand the complications here. I understand want dollars. I believe get there if some changes here we're asking for. But I will not sell this community soul. I will not sell this community soul to develop community. I'm just not going to do it. And I'm not going to allow for the ruin of Benito County when we do not have the infrastructure to support 4,500 homes, another 2,040, and over another 1,000 of moderate homes in the next few years. Not going to sell this community soul. Super Alaska.
Thank you. The answers are, again, we want housing for our community. With the pipeline in the pipeline, we're not changing that. I love this theory. That's what we're happy about. Let's go back to the map. We solved this pretty quickly.
Can you please show the presentation?
It's using percentages and so on. So let's have a conversation, because I did this forever also. It's all about the infill and do this right. No more sprawl. So let's go to the area we talked about along the Vista, mentioned farm work housing.
Which area specifically?
It was along Vista, and that's right there. Can we categorize as farm work housing? Can we say that? Limited farm work housing.
This specific site?
Yes.
You do that through the housing element, a separate process. Housing can say, is targeted toward farm housing, but you have specific regulation on this site specifically, but can't do through the housing. The housing isn't.
Okay. What I think one of the issues here, and you're in this through Monterey County, building for work housing all over the place. I know this, I've been involved, I've seen it, so I know what they're doing. And the conversation is like, why can you do this in Benito County? The answer is, why can you not? So all we need for people to understand, again, there's no proper group here that do this similar housing. We can agree this is a work housing location that makes sense, because it's right next to the prime ag that we need to protect. We need to do everything we can to protect that whole area. So if we figure out a way to make sure that's going to be on work housing, we're one step closer, okay?
This part is actually owned by the County of San Diego, so change it up a bit and fill the board. Make it work out. That's one. We don't necessarily have to put it in housing now, like Brian indicated. This is something that, if it's the will of the board, we can put the two and the affordable housing organizations to see we can come with the process.
That's probably going to get 168 units right there. But the other piece, let's go back in. Because infill is important. If we fill single family housing, we're losing again. So the other part always is, there are schools we have affordable, higher density, multifamily. There are for teachers, some of the families. So let's go to the one in the center. R2? Is there R2? Not some here.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, R2. This has been controversial for a while. But it's 2 now. How do we get that higher density? Can we do that? That a higher density, we're ensuring that multi-family, not single family.
Currently proposed to be 20 to 40 million.
Okay, so we want to get to the high density we get. 3 stories. So we hear the words of 8 floors and 8 stories somewhere. Okay? Because that's next to the school. It's great for teachers. It's great for students. It's going to force the affordability part of it. It's really the answer to what we're talking about is the identity. What we're going to push for that affordability. Maybe some of the groups here that build affordable, more interest or backers, investors to do that. Okay? So that's location number 2. We're solving our problems. That's what we're doing right now. We're solving our problems. Let's move down to high school. Okay, you got 1 through 8.
Kind of a border, I kind of got it.
Okay, and if we could do the same there, now provide, again, housing for our teachers. And we're providing the density multi-family. I think you could part about, but you where I'm going with this, right? And that's preventing this idea of just sprawl over the place. Because again, we all agree, services there. It's right outside city limit, and we're direct map that work with the city and then turn to the, because we're a county, we wouldn't be in the subdivision or housing. That's not what we should be doing. This is a mistake that we're made past when we have islands all over the place. So if we look at those areas as a higher density, we can get there. And we need to use the outside the outers. And that would, I'm sure, more than like the property there, leave those for a time.
We had posed density previously, and twice this body had asked us to reduce it.
Yeah.
That we didn't sit having less sites at higher density, and we were staff was instructed to spread it out, and that's why consolidate them as least site possible with NCD given that spot that's required by the body.
Yeah, I get.
Yeah. So before we our hearings, Farmer Housing at R6, leave R2 in, leave R1, remove R12, remove R3, remove R10, remove R5.
We now be negative, unless the density you pose, need to numbers, it'd probably be north of 7 dwelling per acre. I'm gonna just stick with those parcels.
Where's there?
Just want to make sure I understand. Obviously, we need the 168, but we're planning for 409. You said the buffer, is that?
So, so adding the very top row, that so a true low and low income together are 404. So trying to get buffer up that. If you only select, I don't know, like 5 units you have to keep and everything take out, if even one of those was to be removed, you're now in state of what is called a state of net loss. You now have a negative amount of units. You would have to amend your housing to identify more units.
So let's keep that.
Hold on. I understand. We've everything still 168 available, right?
You haven't accommodated.
We've accommodated, Matt. But you talked about the buffer that I need, right? In case how big the buffer?
The buffer now is about, I don't know the math, 204 units above the lower income. So whatever that percent is. We have 240 units above what we've identified. So what's equal to actually, if R12 up on top was to go away, we no longer have a buffer.
Okay.
Technically don't need one unit above arena, so it's not huge. But if one of the parcels, any of them, were developed non-line what we estimated, being we could no loss, and your housing element would become void. You're subject to build harmony because you don't have a client housing element because you're in negative units. You would have to up your housing element with new units.
Got it.
And every time one is site developed, alternative to how we identify, you'd have to update the element.
But would you have the authority at that point saying this is not identified, so you can't, and then wouldn't have to redo? If you say they developed that, not what we predict or not what we would ideally have outlined here, could just say that isn't how we envision housing out there. If we can't develop that, we don't have to redo everything.
Yeah, so that's what Abe alluded to. So the reason that's the minimum standards that are required. As long as an applicant was to come in with the minimum standards, should meet the totals.
So that would be an, so then the buffer wouldn't be an issue because it wouldn't be sites aren't developed the way that we want to, right? So we need the new buffer. I thought the buffer, because if any of these develops in a way that isn't we envision here, then we have to go back because it will now lost. And if we had standards set that they cannot develop, or we proven a development that was not envisioned, we wouldn't have to worry about having an excessive buffer, right? Because we wouldn't have an issue.
Well, then the existing uses and redevelop finicky non-conforming. So you can have a single family dwelling unit not developed anymore. That would lost a site because they can develop from the existing non-conforming use because they'll have the privilege of existing use so long as they stay in that use.
Oh, I understand.
Let's go back and so let's go back to where Lane is. There's a site there, the school site, right there. Situation, great place for tier housing or housing or higher density. We can create this. Add that to the mix. Let's calculate that all out. We're good to go. I think the key here, guys, is that if we're pushing for a higher density, we're going to be able to encourage more of the affordable housing or the farm work housing. If it's single-family housing, they can't afford to make that happen. Again, I'm not talking about 8 stories here.
If you,
as much as people want to know, we're not going 8 stories.
So with development standards, so you increase density. Development standards, something has budge. You can't just 7 dwelling units on 3 stories. So something has to, there you have 0 outline development, no setback.
4 floors, like.
We have to do
right. So let's look at now and understand and how to make these affordable, and then we're going to answer it.
So we added our 11 to the.
You still under let's have a density that you pose in the negative by several hundred.
Again, we got higher density.
Is there any purpose specifically?
High is the number to get up to.
A realistic. They have to be realistic. So we previously posted 40 in one specific parcel, R12 up here. We had posed 45 to 65. That was we asked this body to redo
that cuts far out. Yeah.
So even at 65 with these 5 units, so R1, 7, 8, 9, 2, 11. Just off the top of my head, I haven't even done that, but I can tell that's not work. At 65, even at 65, but your 60 was still tight.
Go ahead.
So we're just going to, I think what you meant was removing the 10 or 5 and potentially 12, seeing what we could make work. We took those 3 out, basically.
With everything.
I'm sorry.
I'm what
so you're the one Fairview Road, those one in North County.
Right, you haven't mentioned 4. So remove those 4. If you remove 4, 12, 10, 5, guess what, do you know what density would need with just 6, 7, 8, 9, 1?
Remove 4, 12, 10, and 5.
Yeah, and then.
Increase density.
Yeah, and would that be, and if it's too high, then maybe we throw one back in and where we get there.
Okay,
I think.
we need the math. We need a second for that. Going off my head.
Right, no worries.
This notion of being R6 Farker housing, that does appease the situation.
No, so county owns the property, you have that as your own. The owner of the property, you can have your own.
So why couldn't we just designate R6 or?
It would have to be, okay, that have to be sort of the pilot project. You already have a project that's proposing it.
But if we did that, we could go back and change some of the others if we met it all. It would have to be on.
Yeah, so if we were talking today, for example, and we see that we are meeting the requirements, we can on a year basis and we let you know, for example, if there's a project coming soon and we looked at meet it, then we can come back and say, if you like a board, we can go check with the city to indicate that if we download some other sites that were originally adopted, we could be in certification. I believe that's the truth. And Dick's department also the house element to be able to grant. He can speak to that as he was asking. It's a desire of the board, but definitely approved this way. We can look at a time if we are meeting the lower density requirement down back again. Think more favorable at that time.
Or Will, want to move something forward here? Anybody have recommendations for zero?
Can I just make some observations from them? High density is going to cause, of course, always higher traffic, but also we higher needs more family for parking. Parking going to be an issue in these areas. We have a pretty right conversation that they've been having here, and the goal, in my opinion, is to get housing element approved by HC so that we can get funding for affordable housing. We can reject projects. We can change zoning that maybe zone one way now, zone it another way, and zone back. I feel comfortable sitting up here and making signs up going to happen. I wasn't in all of the plan commission meetings. I know there were a lot of comments from a lot of public. We don't have that here right now. So unless this moving forward, I can't keep wasting the time staff to spend money, go back and something happen because we're not approving projects here. All we're doing is getting a housing element adopted so that we can actually get funding for affordable housing. That's how I'm looking at it. And if that's not right, then maybe I should be in this role.
Is this absolute minimum for us to get approved when we come these out?
Yeah, this was a lot of negotiations back and forth with HCD. We had more sites. We went down. These 12 sites is the minimum, HCD said, and more kind of in the kind of zone where if you lose more sites, you're really jeopardy of having negative use, especially with the reduction in density for that. Or 12 there. Once we reached the density of that one, our offer got smaller to the point where HCD really question. And then I also want to mention, so any revisions housing on it to go back to HCD. Can't estimate how many reviews it take, but it's 6 days, first review, public comment period, and plan, the hearings, and then zones on that. So looking at beginning of 2026 at your list to get certified, if we update anything to the element.
Yeah, I would just say if this is minimum to go through with this today, I'm just right off the bat that going to come back as soon as we get a farmer product there. We fulfill most of our just that alone probably. Going to insist we come back talk how we can adjust it if we can ask them. We're already in compliance with the agreement. We're going to do things better now.
Definitely comment Supervisor. Yeah.
I agree with Supervisor Hanger. For me, as one board member, like I said, I'm not selling the community all just because we zone doesn't mean that I'm supporting housing projects in these sites. We're accommodating the zoning, and that's it for me. But if telling me this is minimum, we can't make any more adjustments other than change the density and move it, kind of shifting the birds around. I guess willing to support under the notion that I want to move fast in this worker housing idea and get something moving that and back, make adjustments needed.
Yeah, I agree. I think we do to add our 12. I think here is the density. That's what we're talking about. The density is, if they build out density, at least the great majority of units for locals. That's a one. And if we do that, it actually helps with our traffic because we're not more traffic on the roads. It's already here. All we're doing is allowing people to have their own unit somewhere.
Every single one of us is trying to sell the community soul. Right? I think we all care tremendously about this community, appreciate the uniqueness, we appreciate kind of identity here that is such a strong ag influence. And so I'm sort of the farm work housing. I just want to be very careful that we make sure that in some of the recent farm worker kind of complexes and things that are built, a lot of times to accommodate H2A workers that are coming up here from Mexico work and incredibly appreciative, and it's so needed. But I want to make sure that we don't allocate 160 units and all the really seasonal farm workers come up here for the season and not really doing anything to address and help like our farm worker families that are here right now and that don't have affordability. So I just make sure that we're careful and thoughtful in this entire process, making sure it's a fit and we work with the community on really what the needs are that surround that. We don't go find somebody, well, here we have this property and we'll develop it for farm worker housing, but doesn't do anything to address farm worker families that are here. So I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Further?
I just want to say, hey, I think as a board here, I've been very happy with the way we work together. We're not agree 100%, but I think coming here and, we're having a debate today. I agree with what you're saying. I really do. And again, for the entire community, I think we're going to find ourselves in a more positive place. Of course, people aren't going anything built, but it's not reality. And we're going to do this for
Under motion?
as far as we're doing it at higher densities, I make sure we're
And that's a discussion we had. If we're looking at our densities, it needs to back HCD. So that's that consideration.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion.
Mr. Kerr.
I had a motion to approve per staff recommendation, the plan commission recommendation as written.
Second.
First, second on the floor. Is there any further considerations? You no further amendments? Roll vote.
Supervisor Cosmic,
I'll say yes.
Supervisor Anger,
Yes.
Supervisor Silo,
Yes.
Supervisor Crowe,
Yes.
Supervisor Velasquez,
it's a clarity. This is how changes to density.
Through the chair. Yeah, it would be the next option for high density.
Okay, sir. Yeah.
5-0 vote, will pass.
Thank you very much. We have a
The chair, the next resolution is to approve the upzoning higher density.
right. Sorry, I'm getting there. Sorry, I'm moving around the room here. Apologize for that. Okay, so we have a second item which approval of the resolution. This would be general plan zoning amendment, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so be to commence the initiation of general plan zoning code amendment pursuant to 2.32 residential rezone general plan amendment 2020-2021 housing element cycle. Is there a motion approved?
I'm going to approve.
First, we have a second.
I'll second.
In favor, roll call, please.
Supervisor Cosmic,
Yes.
Supervisor Anger, Supervisor Silo,
Yes.
Supervisor Rowe,
Yes.
Supervisor Velasquez,
Yes.
5-0 vote, motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. County Council, we have an item that you needed to have for closed session. Can you-
Yes, came to my attention for the on the agenda, needs to be resolved for the next meeting. It's a public employment appointment position, the administrative officer pursuant to section 545 cent, that'd be a closed session discussion.
I want to ask the board, do we want to break here and go close, or if it's a public hearing and back to close session after that?
Only comment right now is I'm sorry, I have a hard 2 o'clock for medical purpose with family, and we haven't gotten to 3.1, and I don't know anybody's gonna be here to do the presentation. So,
Okay, so we're trying to work through, that's what you're saying?
I'd like to power through. I'd actually like to make a recommendation. I know who's on this next public hearing. If we could hold 2.2, go to 3.1, so people can leave whenever you'd like. Data respect of all that live here all morning.
Move things again, go to 2.2, over here.
It's fine.
Say we can wait.
We're gonna move 3.1, and we'll continue 2.2.
Mr. Chair, yeah.
You were a kid.
So one comment that I can motion to add the closed session, I per county
Oh,
council
you skipped
recommendation.
that. Motion to add, first add, close session, second,
Yep.
all in favor, please say
Aye.
So, and that will, we'll get when we get her, it's like,
Okay. Which item?
we're gonna move to 3.1.
Supervisor Stephanie Garcia, thank you again for commenting this item, the individuals we heard members. So I'm going to be pretty brief today talking about affordable housing development. We already heard from our state representatives, now we're here from our local nonprofit developers. And first, we're actually going to start with Steve Flores, the executive director of CDC.
And Mr. May, while waiting, I just want to thank everyone that's been waiting for this item. Your presence here greatly appreciated.
Good afternoon, I'm Benito, Executive Director of Community Service Development Corporation. Thank you all for having us. I get with the supervisors regarding the affordable housing past. I appreciate your support. I'll be brief. I want to introduce the nonprofit. Started in San Diego County in 1984. At that time, members of the supervisors seen a need for affordable housing in San Diego County. So CSC was started as a nonprofit to those needs with members of the board on our board. Over time, it's changed, and we just didn't need the board. CDC, owner of San Diego County. We work everywhere else. All our programs are here in the county hall or out county and sound if possible. Again, we're here to serve low to moderate income residents. We're here to serve low moderate income residents here in the county. We generally meet our very low income 50% income residents through global rentals. We with Senate to meet some of the extremely low 30% rental. And for our moderate, we've actually have an MOU with Qualify and select their moderate home buyers that worked housing. So those some of those we meet needs. Let's see. Again, CDC has always been a partner in San Benito County. We've worked together the years on many different programs. We worked with managed emergency housing through emergency services, working with community workforce development and HSA. We manage temporary housing for very low income residents with maximum interior rents. We actually lease property from San Benito County above migrants here. And again, they're 2 rentals, 2 or better, so family units. Again, 2%, so those are very low income households. Provides management for helping hand program with community workforce development and HSA. That's funded continued care through the homeless and disabled individuals. I've been partnering that for since 2015. We're in our tenure together. We also partnered together to on the Riverview 1, Riverview 2 affordable from ownership. That Riverview 1 with the 6 units had below market rates. Those were your monthly income, and half were sell. We worked with the county at the time to develop the 20 unit or very low income families. Most recently completed the Riverview 2 project. Was 24 houses that was on the old county hospital site. We sold to CDC. We were able to demolish the hospital, develop site, and then sell out 24 low income and low income families. Through the process, we had over 700 applications. However, 24 qualifying families were all lows. Teachers we have voted for the school district. So that was a great project in partnership with the county. So moving on. So working together, we've been successful receiving fund through first-time buyer grants. The county applied, CDC partnered on for review, and we were able to receive $1 million first-time home assistance. Working with county staff planning, we were able to a lot of the funds with funds. The county has funded purchases of homes to CDC back loans that we back into the county. So there's we can look forward to working together in the future, seeing what are available. And let's see, we work with behavioral health through the Bridge House program. We're able to some of our youth to your client well. So any fund comes through there, I'd like to partner with them in the future. And just moving forward, I think it's important that we can partner with the county. And it would be to meet with individually or an ad hoc committee where the nonprofits and work with the county board and staff to identify projects in the plan, what funds available that we can plan for next year, and finding out are available, and we have 30 days to apply. So I think it would be great if we make yourselves available through an ad hoc and start the dialogue all the time. With Supervisor last, we had with Chifa and the agency discuss how to provide affordable housing in Hollister and start those kind of decisions in the county. Would be great.
Thank you, Zane.
Lisa, I'm going to go ahead and let us move on. I'm interested Jeff Morgan, President and CEO, which
thank you, everyone. It's good to meet everyone here. Appreciate the time. So we've actually built about 90 units of multifamily affordable housing. We did 2 properties. So you see here, Buena Vista Apartments. Buena Vista is our multifamily community. Right now we have a waiting list. We have 500 people waiting on the bedrooms. 800 people are waiting. Just if anyone would come available in the 40 minutes. So that wait list. In addition to that, we have you see some pictures of some of the stormwater retention construction we've done. We're all with low-income house tax credits, which is one of the most successful affordable housing programs in U.S. history. Sunrise is our 49-unit senior unit. Before I go back to that, I also want to say we also built 13 single-family homes for sale homes. We've done 2 homes that were preservation that were done back during the early recession. There's money for recovery. The multifamily homes are for residents, so unlike H2A housing, was built in mass. The model, a lot of farmers built that. Mostly they're contract farmers from Mexico that come up. So there's 1,000 units. The units are actually for residents. Most of the stuff's been Monterey County, is not Monterey County residents, to be clear. So for some days, we're blessed by having housing for seniors, that affordable housing, all 100% project-based voucher. What that means is they pay 30% of their income. So if they're fixed income, seniors don't have to make that terrible choice between housing, food, and medical if they don't have enough funds for those choices. I welcome all of you to come and pick, really some great stories here over the last few years. It controls our major for both sides. And I'm giving all an open invitation. If you want to hear why this is important, let us tell you what their lives were like before this, what their lives are like now. So thank you for this opportunity. When the county is ready to begin building more affordable housing, we are ready to help you build it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeffrey. And next, we're going to move on to Fix Young, Vice President of Business Development for Mid-Penn Housing.
Good afternoon, Supervisors. I'm going to try and get it up a little because I was long already. Mid Housing, we are a regional nonprofit affordable housing developer. It's actually a state in 12 counties. We have about 1,000 homes across the Bay Area. So we're at very different scale than the previous nonprofits. We operate the development arm as well as the property management arm of resident services. So there's many things here that happen today that ties together. So on the resident services side, I would say that most of our properties are general affordable housing for the general public. We do have a few that are specifically doing 100% permanent affordable housing for family homes. And we do have and part of that is just, and we're not a click, right? So not people there are permanently housed, but there are occasions where are some potential occasion or people compensate and security cameras are not as a deterrent, I would say, for people are having episode. That's not going to be enough. But it's also not something. I don't know, it's just purely opinion that it's something staff wants to deal with on e-base, and so having somebody there and unarmed to just kind of help staff deal with that situation, I guess is a helpful thing. We do that at some of the facility. We offer services for other products, including the one we have community here in Hollister, and that's a senior property. We will have senior services around like well-being, engineering, and actually we all have properties that serve organization and youth. So previously, another organization here said about how that transition into a hood and expected to work and pay for rent is a good one, and it does lead to houses and I think the picture here for me is I think we're here for technical assistance. Want to help in any way we can bring what we see from other counties, other jurisdictions as practices to San Benito. If there's something you explore more, you don't have to be the developer here, but we can offer a lot of kind of a wide angle perspective of what happens where in the area. One of those examples in this deck, it's our partnership with Sunnyvale. They don't have any more land like land they have for affordable housing. They do want to continue to the affordable housing. We have this partnership with them where we go out and help them acquire land that then be used as 100% affordable housing. So just as an example, here's a question of kind of moving on. Thank you.
Thank you, Felix. We're out of time. Enrique Arreola, Deputy Director of Health and Human Services, and close this out very briefly.
Thank you very much, members that are in the public. I believe there is power to establishing political partnerships with local, state, and federal partners. For the last 3 years, Health and Human Services Agency Division of Community Workforce Development secured over $30 million for the different programs to make real differences to residents of our community. Some of the partnerships that have been produced are one is farm worker housing. We received over $4 million in the early 2000s for farm worker program. We built enough for 272 seasonal workers. Migrant housing also for AT received funding to 46 homes for migrants and farmers as well, which annually help members serve about 250 individuals. Slide that you hear are general expenses services provided last year to report from one of the brands. These numbers are brands that we have seen that direct benefit our community. We have also responded to support for affordable housing and list programs through multiple grants that we've also received through AT, including over $3 million for the CBG fund that built the shelter. Tenant-based on assistance, we received $1 million over the last 4 years. Plus, recently, the $1.5 million grant to, we don't have to click yet, to provide 12 of assistance for families here in our community, $2.4 million home key grant that for housing units. So the purchase of property, $8.6 million housing for one housing grant. Transit housing grants $1.5 million from the community-based traditional housing program, and $1.1 million on the HEAP program to our local COC, and also emergency shelter programs. Over 100,000 has told health vouchers over the last 4 or 5 years or so. And we continue to receive annual application for the operations that are set, which is for farm workers, families, and individuals are seasonal here, and also receive their fund from a program either from CSS, from the State Department of Community Service Development, EDD, among other programs. We believe in the partnerships and we'll be ready. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes our presentation.
Thank you. We'll go to the comment in the back.
If you'd like to make comment and just provide a speak card on Zoom, please press R9 or raise icon. And I see public comment.
Rex, would you like to say?
Oh, the only thing I want to say is thank you to everyone for this. I know it was really fast. This was a lot of information expected with our public hearing. Thank you to each and every one of you. Stephanie did a great job, especially getting, because this was going to end with HC presentation to kind of show money come. But also, we have the proclamations, which you would like to have to prove, and you present, please.
Is that right, or you?
Thank you.
Supervisor Velasquez?
To everybody came out today, our way to do this. We've seen it, and I'm very proud of some things that have been here past. I know we can keep forward, as long as we're always fair with each other and understand time is important for this. We can see.
There's there.
Yeah, just thank you for everyone in the cheap thing to boys apartment. You don't worry about it now, but just know off the top of your head, you said 800 people on that waiting list. The majority of those, how many of those are residents of San County versus elsewhere? Okay, that's all.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. I almost kind of unfortunate. This is such a big topic and so incredibly important to this community. But we have so many other things going on. We didn't have more engagement. To have zero comment on this item is kind of incredible. So I hope it can continue these conversations. I'm today feeling hopeful and very inspired, and knowing that we can, working together, we can do things, working to make a difference in this community. And so I appreciate you taking the time and explaining how we bring affordable housing, and we can part in this. So I'm very, very hopeful. I appreciate everybody for being here. Supervisor Crow, thank you so much for bringing this to our agenda, bringing this item as a agenda item. I'm really hopeful that we can bring in much needed affordable housing here. So thank you.
Thank you. You got some? You want to come to the podium, please?
Supervisor, CSD has 100 folks on the list. I'd say at 90% or if not. So the majority are local.
Thank you. And I have a question. I like to move things along. Presentation is fine. How would be the next steps for us to, what would be the recommendation from staff? We have a property at Buena Vista Road. I've actually talked about this property all since 2021 for worker housing. Never got off the ground. How do you take steps forward to get a project with perhaps one or more partners, get some moving? That site would be an incentive because it offered the land. How would we get moved? What would be the next step?
That's very exciting, Turkey. Thank you for that. It really is a team effort that was meant for that color ratio. And all that's in the best personal experience, Supervisor Velasquez as well. We necessarily have to with one organization project, CCC was collaboration, she's for the UNAVIS department. So there's ways that we can, move along in your direction or your recommendation be for work, affordable housing. We can certainly schedule those meetings and see what we can brainstorm for ideas, especially one of the pretty.
Yeah, I think Sonny said earlier, when I was with the city, to work out ways to add more affordable housing in the city, and I think it worked well. I think we needed that here because everyone has different specialty, all different builders, affordable housing. We find them they could fit there or there. What are they looking for in our community? How can they help us? How can we help them? So.
Would you like to do that with housing quality ad hoc, or would you like create a separate committee for that discussion?
Up to my partner.
I would suggest a separate ad hoc specifically so we can focus on this one of the property and see if there's interest in a developer partnering and moving things forward sooner or later. And suggest sitting with Supervisor Velasquez and that act since brought this forward.
I would love to do that. And after speaking with several of them, farmer housing is something that's very interesting. Some of the affordable house developers are very interested in the former government because there is funding at federal level that is trickling through the state that could be beneficial for us. So I would be happy to serve.
Great. Is there a consensus board that's okay? So just tell.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would suggest make sure that we are going out of that Joe Turner worker housing grant as well. And we talked about it multiple times, and timing hasn't been right. But this might be a perfect opportunity, and that's, I believe, state program. But there are usually millions of dollars available through that grant. Well, so let's just make sure we look at every single possibility. I think it's real exciting to see things to move forward. So thank you.
Thank you. Think direction. Any further?
Nope.
None. The presentation. That would just to the acclamation. We're going to pull this back up. It'll be 1.11.
And Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
just while you're looking it up, it's Affordable Housing Month in San Diego, the month of May, and the other proclamation is for the recognizing May as Older American Month in San Diego County, and they kind of aligned this item, and we have senior council. I don't know why I could not read that. All of our affordable housing developers here, I would be ending.
You
go right ahead.
Can I move approve that? Can I move proclamation?
I'll second that.
Just in a second. All those over, please.
Aye.
We have Tate from Senior Council. Anybody from the nonprofit community would like to come to recognize this month? This, I believe, Justice Supervisor Curro to proclamation here today. The first one, this will start with Senior Council, then we'll move to the nonprofit. First will be recognizing May 25 as America's Month in San Diego County. President 62 legislation introduced establish independent commission on age. There are more than 7 million Americans over 65. 5 million in poverty with few services available. Whereas this council mission actively participates in the development of plan policies, serve the official county or agent committee of local area agent and agent, and serve the official advisory committee to the establishment of local wrong or agent disability resource action program. And I will say, I campus here earlier, dedicated Hadib. I know he would like to hear, but we appreciate service as well. We'll present the TAN recognizing a 2025 Older Americans Month. We'd like to have a few words around it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to the county for recognizing Old Americans Month and focusing on seniors who are a important group and kind of in with everything that's on the agenda today. So thank you.
Stephanie, sorry, Ms. Chair, if we add Felix could part of our pen housing, please, as you part of our presentation, it would be a good photo op. Yeah.
Thank you. The next one, which is proclamation recognizing May 25 affordable housing.